We're going to start the meeting in just a moment. Appreciate everyone finding their seat to the best of the ability. And we're going to go ahead and begin and call to order the San Bruno City Council regular meeting scheduled for January the 9th, 2024. We've called the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Marty Medina?
Here.
Vice Mayor Salazar? He is on an excused absence with prior notice. And Mayor Rico Medina?
Here. Thank you very much. With that, I would ask those that are able to rise with me as I lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to item number 3. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Again, public comments for items that are not on the agenda this evening. We have a couple speaker cards, and I'll ask the city clerk to call up. And then when your name is called, if you'd come to the podium, please, and then direct your comments to the city council.
First speaker is Jamal Katoot.
Okay, folks, there's no applause. What I'm asking is everybody, no matter who speaks tonight, is given that same courtesy. And it's not easy for everyone to speak and to come up in a full room. So there is no clapping. We're just going to give the courtesy and the respect to the speaker who's going to speak on items that are not on the agenda. Sir.
Hello? Yeah, I wanted to talk about the sidewalks. Isn't that on the agenda? It is? I might have wrote traffic on there.
You did write
Yeah,
traffic.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for asking. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Steve Wise.
Mr. Wise.
Good evening, Council. My name is Steve Weiss. Does the Council believe that Black Lives Matter? If so, why haven't you proposed a resolution regarding the conflict in Sudan? Does the Council support Muslims and stand against Islamophobia? If so, why haven't you proposed a resolution regarding the mistreatment of Muslims in China? Do you support the LGBTQ+ community? If so, why haven't you condemned governments that kill LGBTQ individuals? Because it's not because you don't care, it's because you were elected to lead the city of San Bruno and deal with the many local challenges we face. Housing, like at San Bruno Avenue West, Tanforan, safety, whether crime or streetlights. They may be local, but they are extremely important issues. Regarding national and international issues, I recommend that you do what I've been doing. Email and call your congressional representatives, President Biden, Vice President Harris, UN Ambassador, etc. San Bruno's local challenges are of the utmost importance. I appreciate the hard work the Council puts into addressing them. I would like to emphasize the need for all residents to feel safe and happy living in San Bruno. It is my hope that the Council continues to work towards building a strong and inclusive community, making San Bruno the crown jewel of the peninsula, not just adhering to piles of emails that were sent by people who've never heard of San Bruno or were auto-generated by a bot. Thank you for your dedication to the city and for keeping it safe.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
I have no other speaker cards.
Was there anybody else that wanted to speak under public comments for items not on the agenda?
I do not have another speaker card for item 4. If you would like to approach the podium, if it's a topic that is not on the agenda, you're welcome to approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Tina Hui, and I'd like to bring up the topic of safety and security within the Marisol community located next to Skyline College. A number of home invasions, burglaries have been occurring in this community for the past several years, approximately 7 to date, with the most recent one being last Thursday on January 4th. We want to understand what safety precautions the City of San Bruno is putting in place in order to protect the residents within the Marisol housing community. Data has shown that there is an increase in home burglaries, and it's been noted that the criminals are committing the crimes during police shift changes. The burglars are very aware of the police schedule and patterns, so even with increased police patrol, there is a flaw to the system, where regardless of the number of times a patrol car comes around, there will always be windows of opportunity for the criminals to act during every shift change. As a community, Marisol residents were able to pull together and provided footage of the timeline of the crime, license plate, make, and model of the car used. 2 days later, this same car was spotted driving down the street again around the same time as the burglary that occurred, which was once again during a police shift change. However, having the license plate hasn't helped to catch the criminals because the burglars consistently use stolen plates. We are very thankful to have neighbors who assist during such unfortunate events, but this should not be left to civilians to take matters into their own hands. We want to understand what strategies are being implemented or discussed by the City of San Bruno in order to ensure the residents feel safe in their own homes and neighborhood again. We are proposing that the City of San Bruno install security gates at the 2 entry and exit points in the Marisol community to help prevent further crimes and to protect its residents to feel safe in their own home. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other speakers that is not on the agenda? Please step forward.
Hi, my name is Kathy Lissam. As you just heard, the Marisol housing community is a target to continuous home burglaries, and though for a short time after each break-in, the police will send patrol cars to the neighborhood a few times, it has not deterred the criminals because they know the police schedule well and know what the best times to act are. Since there have been so many home burglaries in the Marisol community, residents cannot feel safe in their own homes. The question isn't if the criminals will come back to the community, it is when and who will be next. We are proposing the City of San Bruno install security gates at the 2 entry and exit points in the Marisol community in order to protect its residents from being further victimized. Putting in these gates will bring peace back to the community and will be the protection needed to deter further home burglaries. It will cut off easy access in and out of the Marisol housing community. Secondly, we are proposing that in the interim, the City of San Bruno also install license plate recognition cameras at the 2 entry and exit points in the Marisol community, and that the cameras be directly linked to the DMV records of stolen license plates, so that if vehicles with stolen license plates enter and exit the community, the authorities will be immediately notified. Those that drive around with stolen license plates usually do so in order to evade nefarious acts they commit. Therefore, having these license plate recognition cameras with the capability to detect stolen plates and alert the police, it could not only lower crime at the Marisol community, but would be a major benefit in keeping the City of San Bruno as a whole safer, knowing that by doing this, we are proactively preventing crimes from being committed rather than reacting to crimes after they have already been committed. Council members, we are pleading with you to please bring back peace and safety to this community and not allow San Bruno to be seen as an easy target to the litany of crimes happening around the Bay Area. Your community and residents need your help in proactively stopping these crimes and helping to restore peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. No applause, please. Thank you very much for your comments and being here this evening. Are there any other persons in the room that wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? I'm seeing no hands, and we have no more speaker cards, so we will move on the agenda. We're going to go to Item 5, which is announcements and presentations. Just as a heads up on item C, which is receive the update on citywide parking enforcement and downtown metering program, that will be continued to the next meeting. What I'm trying to do is be mindful of the audience and the size of the people that are here, and that we have folks of all ages. And if I'm not mistaken, school's back in session, so we need to try to get folks home if they need to get home. And so I want to try to expedite the meeting as much as possible. But we do have a couple items, and the first will be issue a proclamation declaring January as National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. I'm just going to read a couple of the whereases in light to try to keep the meeting flowing. Whereas human trafficking is a human rights violation and a violation of federal and state law, the FBI identifies California and the San Francisco Bay Area as an area of high prevalence for human trafficking. Victims often do not recognize their victimization, do not know that help is available, or where to seek assistance. And whereas the County of San Mateo has dedicated resources, including the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program, and has supported the efforts of the San Mateo County Police Chiefs and Sheriff's Association, and has partnered with other governmental and non-governmental organizations to identify and address human trafficking within San Mateo County. Now, therefore, I, Rico E. Medina, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2024 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. With that, excuse me, we're going to move on to item B. We're going to move on to item B, which is receive HIP Housing 2024 calendar presentation, which is an annual event that happens, and we welcome back former employee and I believe HIP Housing board member, Aaron Atkin.
Thank you and good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. It is always good to be back here in front of the San Bruno City Council. And as the Mayor mentioned, I'm not here as a former staff member, but here as a HIP Housing board member. And we're here tonight to share something fun. Since 1972, HIP Housing has been helping low-income San Mateo County residents find and maintain housing in one of the most expensive places to live in the country. HIP Housing is listed in all 21 housing elements, including San Bruno's, as a trusted, affordable housing partner. Last year, we worked with over 3,200 individuals and housed over 1,200 people throughout the county. On behalf of HIP Housing, I would like to thank the Honorable Mayor and members of the San Bruno City Council for your continued support of the organization. As a symbol of our appreciation and your partnership, I'm here tonight to present you with HIP Housing's 2024 calendar, and I believe one has been placed before you on the dais. And here comes the fun part. Each year, HIP Housing asks children from around the county, from grades kindergarten through 5th, to draw a picture of home and tell us what it means to them. This year, we had over 320 calendar entries, and from those entries, we selected 13 winners, 12 for each month and 1 for the front cover. And we have one of our winners here tonight, this evening, San Bruno resident Morel, a first grader, and she'd like to come up and read you her quote from the calendar.
Please do.
Come on up.
And after we're done with this, we'll clap.
She's
This part will be okay.
Here you go. Wait, here it is. Here, and then put the mic down. Ready? There you go.
Everyone needs a home. My family play, sleep, and eat in our house. Birds lay eggs in a nest. Ants and worms live underground.
Very good. We hope you enjoyed the calendar and that it serves as a beautiful reminder that throughout the year how important housing is to everyone in our county, especially our children. More information can be about HIP Housing's program and our calendar contests can be found on our website hiphousing.org. Thank you.
And thank you, Aaron. And what I'd like to know is if it's okay if I come down, and I know you had the month of July is your month, and I'd like to know if I come down, I'd like you to autograph it for me.
Can you sign your name on this for him when he comes down? This is the mayor. Here we go. Oh, you got yours, so you got a pen. Let me take a picture.
Where do you put it? Wherever you want. It's your calendar, it's your month. Oh, thank you. Let's, like, quick. No. Just like, yes, of course. She did all the work. I'm just standing here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, can she get it? Can she get an autograph? Here you go. Presentations and announcements. Seeing, hearing none, we will move on to item 6, consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implemented in earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested. There will be a single public comment period for all items on
An oral report on 2 items that are being considered on consent. First, item 6I is an amendment to the city manager's employment agreement to provide for the accrual of 7.08 hours of vacation pay per pay period, effective July 1, 2023. And second is item 6J, which is a resolution pursuant to their memorandum of understanding.
Thank you very much. So at this time, to the city council, are there any items to be pulled for a separate vote? Further information on an item?
Through the mayor, no extra comment needed, but for 6H, I'll abstain from that vote since that the property is, the area in question is within 1,000 feet of my home. So when we do the vote, just have
So for the record, if and when this is passed, have it be noted that on H, Councilmember seeing.
Yes, we have Jamal
There you go.
Patute.
Sidewalks. You look familiar. Thank you for your patience, and when you're ready.
No worries. Thank you, Council. So I wanted to talk about the corners that they're redoing on the sidewalks. On the corner of Donner and Palomar, I believe it is, by St. Roberts and Parkside. They did all 3 of those on the same day and didn't have any walking for kids. And that's right at the intersection of 2 schools. So maybe somebody can pay attention to that. And then also on Hawthorne right now, they have barricades because they're redoing the streets, which is great. We appreciate that. But the barricades they put on the sidewalks, they don't pass the muster for ADA. They're blocking the sidewalk. They're not supposed to be. I work for Public Works. They're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. They're supposed to be on the street. They can't block the sidewalks. And somebody needs to speak to them about that too. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments and bringing that forward to us, and staff has made notation, and the appropriate department can look into that. Any other comments on consent? Seeing and hearing none, bring it back to the board for action.
through the mayor, I'll
Please.
make a motion to approve the items on consent.
Motion and second to approve consent with the caveat that item H, Councilmember Hamilton has recused himself and will abstain. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous, 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 7, conduct of business. We had an item which was a presentation regarding the cafe, which is kind of an age-friendly for cities and communities. With that, I've asked for this to be continued as well, to be mindful of the audience and that the topic at hand, and to try to keep the meeting moving for consideration to everyone. So with that, we're going to move to item B. City Clerk.
Item 7B, consider introducing reading by title only and waiving further reading of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Bruno, amending San Bruno Municipal Code Title 9, Parks and Recreation, as part of a comprehensive municipal code update and finding such action exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act.
Okay, with that, we do go to the city attorney. However, the council has had this information, and we've gone over this. It's cleaning up. It's critiquing the municipal code and updating it. Unless council needs a presentation, I'm going to say that the staff report has been presented. The presentation items are online. Unless one council member needs something presented, then I would say I'll see if there are any members of the public that want to speak on this item.
I have no speaker cards.
Okay, with that, is there any action from council? Or deliberation or discussion?
Through the mayor, I will make a motion to approve item 7B as read by the city clerk.
Is there a second? Motion Hamilton, seconded Alvarez to approve as read by city clerk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, 4-0. Next, we'll move on to item 8, council committee report outs. I would ask, unless there's something of urgent nature, if colleagues can just give that information to the city clerk. Moving on to item 9, comments from council members. Before we move into that topic, I want to see if any council members have things other than the topic at hand that's on the agenda. Councilmember Alvarez, Councilmember Medina, Councilmember Medina, no. Other than, okay. So what we're left with now, and I was trying to be expeditious, is we have the item, which is comments from council members, and this will be the one comment from any of the council tonight, which is to discuss agendizing a resolution calling for immediate, permanent, bilateral humanitarian ceasefire in Israel and Palestine, for the release of the remaining hostages and in support of allowing unrestricted humanitarian aid. So before I turn it over to Councilmember Hamilton, I'm going to, excuse me for a second. I'm going to read, there's a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, but what I think is important is that to have everything fair to the best of the ability is I'm going to go over some, if you want to call them ground rules, expectations, so that things are fair, equal, shall we say, to the best of our ability. So bear with me as I read this. This item is asking for whether or not the resolution should be brought back to the council for consideration at the next meeting. The council is not allowed to adopt any resolution tonight. I want to make that clear. I will have Councilmember Hamilton begin with his comments since he placed this item on the agenda. Then I will take public comment. Please submit a speaker card if you haven't already done so at this time if you wish to comment on this item. Once we determine the number of speaker cards, I will decide the allotment of the time for each speaker. City Clerk, how many cards at this time do we have?
I lost track of the count, but I'd say roughly about 120.
Okay. With that in mind, we're going to make it 1 minute per speaker. Once we begin public comment, I'd prefer that no more speaker cards are submitted, but you've heard the number that we have before us. Courteous, thoughtful, respectful, and dignified. As we begin with each speaker, there will be no comments or reactions from the audience, whether you agree or disagree with the speaker. There will be no clapping, booing, jeering before, during, or after each speaker. The city clerk will call 5 speakers in order. Please line up behind the podium, and when it is your turn, please step forward and speak into the mic when you're ready. Please keep your comments directed.
Sorry, I couldn't find that speaker.
Directed to the council here, not to the audience, not to the staff. You should be faced as a timer on the screen above, and at the end of your 1 minute time and comments, they will end. There will be no yielding of your time to another. There will be not extra time given. Once you start, you'll have the minute, and then your time will end. Please keep your comments to the topic at hand, which is shall in Palestine, for the release of the remaining hostages and in support of we will go around this table once. And then, if there is a motion and a second, there will be a vote on the floor. So that is the process. I've watched a lot of meetings in other communities. And what I've heard feedback, because it doesn't always come over the air, is comments that are made in the audience, which are not kind, hateful sometimes, not necessary, and not what we're about. So I'm asking for all of us to be respectful to each other, irregardless of what you may believe is right or wrong. It is important that every person have the equal right to speak and be heard. We will begin with 5 speakers being called. And keep in mind, folks, I'm not as young as I used to be, so at some point we may need to take a timeout for a little bio break. So keep that in mind. But with that, let's begin.
I go first.
Oh, and again, I already skipped, because I'm trying to expedite it. Skip Councilmember Hamilton. Then we're going to go. Councilmember Hamilton, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I want to start by acknowledging everyone in this room, as all have been impacted by my decision to agendize this item. Requesting to agendize a peace resolution was certainly not a decision that I made lightly. In speaking with dozens of San Bruno residents about this issue over the past several weeks, I've been asked many times, why are you bringing this item forward? And the answer is that I have 2 reasons. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is enormous, and the number of civilians being killed and injured is massive and growing daily. Hamas is still holding Israeli and other hostages, and they must be released, as should Palestinian civilians being held in Israel without charge. Humanitarian aid remains spotty and inadequate, which is worsening the ongoing crisis. If that were the only reason, I still wouldn't have brought this item forward. But on December 12th, a large group of Palestinian American residents of San Bruno came to this room to call on this council to pass a resolution calling for peace. These are our neighbors. They live on my street. They live on your street. They are not some outside influence. And daily, they're hearing of more and more of their own family members and friends dying because of this crisis. And they're looking to their community leaders to help to amplify their voices calling for peace. I prepared a draft resolution which is attached to the agenda so that everyone could have a framework, a starting point for a potential discussion. Tonight, as the mayor just shared, the only decision we are allowed to make is whether to agendize talking about a resolution. If that decision is yes, then at the next meeting we would be able to discuss the final content of the resolution. We could change language that is problematic for some in our community and make whatever other changes we see fit, working together with feedback from the community. We have many here who have waited patiently to address the council on this, so I will reserve my remaining comments for after the public comment period. Thank you.
Now, folks, we'd like to hear from you. City Clerk.
Would the following people please approach the podium? And I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your names. Hadil Ramadan, Sue Park, Gilbal Chang, Saif Makable, and Ahmad Alba.
And as a reminder, as you're coming up, there is a timer. Also, the city clerk has a bell that at the conclusion of the 1 minute, she will ring the bell, and that means you need to stop the conversation. And I say that to try to be understanding, but I've sat up here before where someone once said to me, well, they got more, so I'm taking more. And it wasn't an ask of me, it was they're doing it. So I'm really trying to keep to it to be fair and equitable to all. So with that, keep in mind, there again, a bell. Why don't you ring the bell so they know what I'm talking about? It means please stop, okay? With that, please.
Hi, council members. My name is Hadil Ramadan. I graduated from Cappuccino High School in 2009. A year after I graduated, the San Bruno fire happened. I'm sure everybody in this room remembers it. It was incredibly tragic, and it's really left a crater on our community to this day. Now, I want you guys to imagine that the San Bruno fire happening in every part of San Bruno for the next 90 days, continuously, with a lack of humanitarian aid able to get in and help us. How desperate would we be, right? What would San Bruno become? So this isn't about a place across the world, because every single person in this room is somehow connected to somebody over there, and they are suffering. And we're asking you to help us and to think Think about we have this ability to be empathetic towards that because we experienced something, even though it was a fraction of what's going on over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you, council members. My name is Saif Makabla, co-owner of Mazur Restaurant, resident and business owner for quite a while here in San Bruno. I'm looking at our council members really for some humility, for you guys to really understand what is going on in Palestine and just how large a Palestinian community is here in San Bruno. We're just hoping you guys call for a ceasefire. Not much of a speaker, but I hope I get that message across. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. I would like to start by sharing my condolences to one of Gaza's biggest heroes, Wael al-Dahdouh. May God give him the strength to continue sharing the truth to the entire world. I'm here to urge the city of San Bruno to call for an overdue ceasefire resolution. The fact that we're here just to debate whether to add the ceasefire resolution, especially after 23,000 innocent civilians, is extremely sad. We need to add the ceasefire resolution and pass it as soon as possible. 23 innocent civilians have been murdered by the Israeli occupation with the intention to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians in Gaza. Our humanity is calling us, and the time is now and not tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Sue Park. I also graduated from Cappuccino High School in 1992. And I found out about this meeting about an hour ago, so I apologize for the way I look. Thank you for being here. Mayor Rico, hello. Tom, Mr. Hamilton, Councilman Medina, as well as Alvarez and the police chief, thank you so much. My belief is that we need to better educate our San Bruno residents of what is really going on. I too was infected by the woke virus. Okay, it's not really, we need to educate our residents to look at all sides, not just the right, not just the left, all sides. Watch CNN, watch Fox, watch news from the world, watch what the Chinese are saying, listen to what Europeans are saying, what the Middle Easterns are saying. Look at all sides and then decide. That's what I've learned from the last couple of years as well. And yes, and
Time is up. Your time is up. Yeah. Yeah.
Next speakers, Lisa Putke, David Chappie, Rhonda Shatar, Lena Ericott, and Raja Elar.
Do I just start?
Yes, please, and when you're ready.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Lisa Putke. I also graduated from Cappuccino in 2004. I beg you to agendize this resolution and to pass it. What is happening is a genocide. Every time, I'm a 5th grade teacher right now. Every time I see a child, which is all day long, I just think about the children in Gaza. Over 11,000 children and more, I'm sure. This is horrible. This is awful. The least you can do is ask for humanitarian aid when literally it affects us because our taxpayer money is going to these bombs, is going to support Israel. Making a stand like this, joining San Francisco and other local organizations that are also passing these ceasefires makes a big difference. It's one way to make our voices heard and to stand in solidarity with humans, people around the world, and to stop the violence now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is David Chappie. There has been over 75 years of U.S. complicity of illegal Israeli occupation of Palestine. The ethnic cleansing of indigenous Palestinians is not new. As a Black Latino in the United States, I am here standing in solidarity with Palestinians. The billions in funding that the U.S. gives to Israel year after year is personal. I understand the true relationship between the U.S. and the settler colonial state of Israel. The true nature of that relationship is one built on the development of military-grade technology and weapons that are developed in occupied Palestine, tested on innocent Palestinian civilians as if they were lab rats, and in turn implemented here to police and surveil black and brown communities. This relationship between the U.S. and Israel further strengthens the oppression of people of color here, Palestinians in occupied Palestine, and people around the world. I would like to end by quoting the late Shireen Abu Akleh. Journalists are being suffocated, silenced, and even shot through bulletproof vests by governments who do not believe that freedom of speech is a right every person is entitled to. Governments who feel words.
Sir, time.
Hello, my name is Randa Shatara, and I'm a Palestinian American, and I have been enjoying the freedom and in peace without the worry of being bombed, exactly like everyone here. So far, 11,300 children have been killed and counting if we do not stop this genocide, all with our tax money. A total of 32,000 plus people killed in the last 3 months. Ceasefire is not an option. It is shameful even to think not to add it to the agenda. Palestinian lives matter too. Let's stop the killing and have our tax dollars work for us to fix our streets, help our homeless, health, add more school, after-school program. It is our duty to really have our money work for us and not have our money kill other countries and bring them to misery. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, City Council members. I'm here to ask you to vote yes to agendize the ceasefire resolution. I urge you to take this time to listen to what your constituents are asking of you and to stand with humanity by calling for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza, free flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza, and the release of hostages on both sides. Advocating for the release of hostages and calling for a ceasefire are not mutually exclusive. For the safety of all human life, it's imperative that a ceasefire is called. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Raja El-Kari. I'm a survivor of 1948 massacre in Palestine. My family were pushed from Jaffa on foot with no water, with no dressing, with nothing with them. They all have to be pushed all the way up to the mountains where it's a desert. My father was shot in the leg. There was no medicine, no water, no clean anything to wrap his feet except from the leaves of the trees, just to cover it and make it safer. The war right now in Gaza, no difference. People have been pushed from northern to southern.
Sir, your time is up.
Next speakers are Charlie Elkara, Marina, Saji Abu Omar, Nancy Katut, and Norana Izari.
Hi, my name is Charlie Elkari. Raja is my father. Business owners, lived in San Francisco my whole life. I'd like to say, to ask you to agendize the ceasefire resolution and to approve it. By doing so, you're speaking on behalf of the people who are without political power. If you look at all over the world, they've been calling for a ceasefire. Even in Israel, you'll see demonstrators calling for a ceasefire. And the government over there is not even giving people freedom of speech. You see the police grabbing their signs and their posters and just trying to not allow anybody to actually call for the ceasefire. So by agendizing this, you will be speaking for the people who really need it, and we will move to a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Marina. I am very grateful to be here today, and I respectfully ask the council not to move forward with that resolution due to the fact that it's not up to the local governments to interfere or mingle in international affairs. We grieve the life on both sides. We pray for peace and for safe release of the hostages, but please, council member, this council and all local councils should really focus on local issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Okay. My name is Nancy Katut, and I was born and raised in San Bruno, District 3. With all due respect, council members, I would be distraught if San Bruno doesn't pass this resolution unanimously. Simply from a humanitarian perspective, there should be no complications about voting yes on this ceasefire resolution with no amendments. This resolution is calling for peace for both sides. Any conflations that lead to the question of this being anti-Semitic is allowing for further killings of innocent Palestinians by the minute. While Palestinians are being disproportionately killed, voting no on this resolution reflects no empathy and care for this ongoing genocide. You can argue that it is Islamophobic, xenophobic to ignore the extreme suffering of the Palestinian people. This resolution is also requesting the release of all hostages. History will look back on this event, and I want to be proud of the message San Bruno sent not only to our elected officials, but to the world. Vote yes and represent the city with the heart appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Saji, resident San Bruno, voted for some of you guys, or most of you guys. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We're all children of Adam and brothers and sisters in humanity. There is nothing else more important in San Bruno, in America, in the world right now, than stopping the genocide in Palestine. For humanity's sake, agendize and pass the ceasefire resolution right now, tonight. Nothing else should be more important. Lives are at stake. Humanity is at stake. Our hearts are at stake. The Creator is watching us right now. When we stand in front of the Creator during Judgment Day, we will be judged on this moment. Did we do our part today to stand up against injustice? Did we stand in solidarity with humanity? Did we do good for others the same way we want to do good for ourselves? Sooner or later, when our number is called, we will be judged on this moment. Please make the right decision today. Again, agendize.
Your time is up, sir. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Folks, I'm again going to remind, when you hear the bell, please stop. Because then you require me to come in to do that, and that's not what I want to do. But I'm asking all of us, we have a lot of speakers, let's afford the same respect, courteous, and time to each person. Next five.
Next five are Anna Nelamad, Nathan Brandis, Anne Frank, Luba Trenuski, and Maha Yezer Shehadi.
Did you hear that, Lapita? We got it. Thank you for letting us know. Appreciate it.
Hello. The debate of passing a ceasefire resolution in both Oakland and Richmond attracted national media attention for vandalism and accusations of anti-Semitism. Council members, do you want that here in San Bruno?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Pause the clock. Folks, I asked in the beginning for everyone to be given the same courtesy and respect. I can hear people in the audience. And if I can hear you up here, it is not fair. I don't need signs. We see your signs. I don't want them to be in the way of others. So I'm asking for signs to come down. Thank you. There was one, but I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So I'm going to have this clock continue. But again, as I said in the beginning, we're in this room together. We have differing views with passionate thoughts. Let's give the courtesy and the respect to each other. Why we're here together. All right.
Thank you, Rico.
You're welcome. Continue clock.
Tom, your campaign slogan is, "It's time to put San Bruno first." Do you think this is actually putting San Bruno first? Will this help our community here in San Bruno? And I mean the entire community. There is no such thing as a neutral, all-inclusive ceasefire resolution. Instead, we should be using our resources on one simple message: support your neighbors, including all people from all sides. Most of the cities in the U.S. have not passed the resolution, including Berkeley, Alameda, San Leandro, Santa Clara, Foster City. The Berkeley mayor stated that a resolution would, in quotes, fan the flames of hatred at home while doing nothing
All right.
to resolve the violence
time.
abroad. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
All right. Hello, City Council. My name is Nathan Brandis. So 2 points. The resolution in itself does not provide any value to the city of San Bruno. It's not a valuable use of our tax dollars. And let's be very clear that the tax dollars in San Bruno don't go towards any funding of any war or providing funding for any military. Also, as many in the audience, I was born in Jerusalem, in Israel. We all left those countries a long time ago to come here to assimilate and be part of American values. Bringing up this resolution is a form of divisive cohesion, forcing an issue that we all left behind to come here to America to become Americans. There's no value in bringing this up to the community to divide us.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Luba Troyanovsky, and I'm Jewish. I'm an American citizen, obviously, and I would like to say that while we are all against loss of human life, and we're all, I'm sure we're all here humanitarians, I don't see how such resolution this resolution could only create animosity and divisiveness among the community of San Bruno. The matter like that should not be up to an agenda of a local government. It is foreign policy issue, and I am pretty sure that our federal government handling it very well. And also, some speakers here mentioned occupation, and I'm not here to give you a history lesson. I'm sure we all know history more or less. Some of us, not all of us. But Gaza is not occupied since 2005, and Israel actually...
Time. Okay. Next, thank you, and next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Maha, and I grew up in San Bruno, a city known for its heart and diversity. My kids and I all graduated from Cappuccino High. I urge you to vote yes to agendize the resolution. San Bruno cannot turn a blind eye and stay silent about the humanitarian crisis happening in Gaza. Israel's carpet bombing has killed tens of thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians, majority of our kids and women, and no end in sight. Millions have been displaced, facing disease, illness, and stripped of basic resources for survival. As a Catholic Palestinian San Bruno resident, I am directly impacted. It is important for us to be seen, heard, protected by our city. The Pope has called for the same 3 items on their resolution. On our resolution, the oldest Catholic church was bombed in Gaza, where 12 of my cousin's family members were killed. 7 were children. With only hundreds remaining, Christians in Gaza face extinction. Please stand with humanity and join San Francisco who passed historic ceasefire today. Thank you.
Time. Thank you.
Next speakers are Nuna Jamali, Dima Shidadi, Zina Zumat, Yesenia Esquivillas, Maram Abugosh.
Please feel free to come to the podium and begin. Please feel free to come to the podium. We need somebody to start, please. Sure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dima Shahade, and I'm a lifelong San Bruno resident from District 3 who attended Cappuccino High School. I kindly ask you to vote yes to agendize the resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and the release of hostages on both sides. San Bruno has always been a huge part of my life. As an elementary school teacher, San Bruno has inspired my most important life lesson, which is to have a heart. I tell my students that no matter who you are or where you go, have a heart. So please, San Bruno Council members, have a heart and demand a ceasefire. Your Palestinian community is hurting, and we look towards you and the whole San Bruno community for recognition, compassion, and empathy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Zaina Zuma, and I'm here to urge the city of San Bruno to agendize this enduring ceasefire resolution so that the safety of children and human life is ensured from communities around the world, no matter their ethnic, national, or religious background. If this resolution will not be recognized by the council, how can you reassure us the protection of members of our own community? Ceasefire now.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Noha Jamali. As a community member of District 3, I'm here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. As a Palestinian with my family members in Gaza, it is important and necessary for San Bruno to recognize the undeniable atrocities that have come forth in the past 94 excruciating days. As a contributing resident, it's important that I, as a Palestinian, feel recognized in the city I live in. It's unfortunate that we need to request recognition from San Bruno. In the past, San Bruno has expressed unconditional support for our Ukrainian San Bruno residents by quickly raising the Ukrainian flag, not once but twice, deservingly affirming San Bruno's support. This resolution encompasses all backgrounds, and passing this resolution will firmly uphold San Bruno's ethos. The division of humanity is not based on race or origin, but rather on action. If the resolution doesn't make it on the agenda, this will cause Palestinians to be ostracized from San Bruno and tell us that San Bruno's support is conditional. We are requesting that members of the community—
Time. Thank you. Thank you for your courtesy. Next speaker.
Hi, Council. I lived here since I was 5, and it wasn't until I left for college that I learned how privileged we are in San Bruno, specifically from all the peninsula, to live in such a diverse community. It was through my classmates and teachers that I learned anything about Palestine. Their stories, the suffering that their family had to endure with the occupation, the stories of being stuck at the airport for hours and denied entry to see their families. I heard those in high school as a teenager, and seeing today what's going on in Gaza, it's honestly embarrassing that we're having to beg you to just add this to the agenda. It's the lowest of the lowest bars. And to not even add the resolution to the agenda and unanimously vote in favor for it would be a shame and a dark stain to San Bruno. So I urge you to please vote yes on the resolution, and because we can't just continue to watch what's happening.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Mariam Abagosh. I've lived in San Bruno my entire life. I'm a Palestinian Muslim American. I'm also not much of a speaker, but I support ceasefire. Thank you.
You did fine. Thank you.
Next speakers are Jackie Fonganillo, Aber El Afifi, Miriam Abugash, Sheila Dudam, and Amjad Kakish.
I stand here before you as a registered dietitian, food and health policy advocate, and a member of the U.S. Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, appalled by the use of starvation and dehydration as a weapon of war. For the last 3 months, 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza have been actively denied food and water as a form of collective punishment being deployed by the Israeli occupation forces. The UN said that in the last week of December, food assistance only reached 8% of targeted people in need. Thousands are facing death by starvation at this very moment. This is a war crime. The current blockade on food and water and the attacks on hospitals and healthcare professionals in Gaza will have devastating effects on Palestinian health, growth, and livelihood for years to come, including irreversible damage from malnutrition. I do not say this lightly when I say that we are the Palestinian people's only hope for survival. Please join me in support for a ceasefire to end the genocide and starvation of the people of Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Abir. San Bruno has been my place residency for the past 26 years, and I am an educator and director of my own school. As a community member with ties to both the Palestinian community overseas in this city, it is important to me that the city stands with the right side of history during this humanitarian crisis. Please vote yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, council members. I'm Sheila Dudum, a resident of San Bruno District 2 for 21 years, advocating for our community schools and teachers. Today, I urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution for enduring ceasefire in Gaza. Some label this as an international affair, but on March 8th of 2022, this council unanimously supported displaying the Ukraine flag, showcasing solidarity. We come to you not just seeking solidarity, but to appeal to your shared humanity and commitment to our community. In the past, our unity transcended race, religion, and politics, notably during the PG&E pipeline explosion. I ask for that same sense of humanity. Imagine those victims without access to essentials, water, food, shelter, and medical aid. In our community, San Bruno's families members have lost lives, not just from the bombing, but not receiving basic medical aid like dialysis. I implore you to agendize the ceasefire resolution. It's not just a political matter, it's a human imperative. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you, Council, for taking the time to listen to your constituents. Despite what the earlier speaker said today, these are all your constituents. These are not outside people coming to San Bruno. I live on Wentworth Drive. Half the street is in San Bruno, the other half is in South San Francisco. Half the street is paved, great roads, and all the area around it is fantastic. The other half that's in San Bruno is full of potholes and cracks. And I drive over those every day, and I think to myself, why does the street not get fixed? Why does it not get repaired? And it's because it's a small street that has no voice. And then I think about the people in Gaza, a small area with no voice that's getting no justice. Every time I go over those 15 potholes on the way out and the 15 potholes on the way in, I think of the 15 bombs that are dropping on the women and children daily. I only have to contend with potholes. They have to contend with no food, no water, and no...
Thank you.
Next speakers are Rami Zabak, O'Day Calais, In George, Tamara Bazouzi, and Basan Zara.
Hello, my name is Rami Zakak, and I'm a Palestinian American Christian. I was raised with ethics, culture, and morals to know what is happening in Gaza is completely and entirely, absolutely against what I believe in. In fact, it is against humanity, and to have a heart, one must believe that people have a right to freedom, life, and happiness, no matter religion, upbringing, or background. A human life is precious to everyone, and I call for a ceasefire now and to agendize this solution. I keep hearing that we should stick to our local problems, but if we don't stand for Palestine, who will?
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is O'Day Calais. I've been living in San Bruno since I was a year-old. I live in District 3. The Palestinian community who live in San Bruno are people who love each other and love their friends and neighbors. I love this city because it's safe, and there are many Palestinians living here who I consider family. The Palestinian community in San Bruno are heartbroken that Palestinians continue to be murdered every day. We continuously see the most horrific pictures and videos of Palestinians mourning loved ones and of lifeless bodies. Palestinians in Gaza have limited to no food, water, electricity, medical supplies, and more. They are dying of starvation in the extreme cold weather, while also trying to survive mass bombardments every day. Imagine having all I said be your reality. What Israel is doing is unforgivable, and they need to be held accountable. San Francisco just passed a ceasefire resolution today, so I believe the city of San Bruno should follow suit. We need a permanent ceasefire now. This cannot go on any longer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Tamara Bazouzi. I am Palestinian American, and I have been living in San Bruno for what will be 30 years this Saturday. I'm here to ask you to agendize the ceasefire resolution. I am a Cappuccino alumni and currently work in the cardiology department at Stanford University. My years there has brought me to understand how precious life is, all life, regardless of race, ethnicity, or religion. Although I have seen trauma in mostly adults in my profession, I cannot begin to understand the types of experiences the children in Palestine are suffering from. We are a city with a heart, yet our hearts have been shattered than ever the last few months. I urge you to take a step back and ask yourself if these innocent lives are worth killing. Now that winter is here, these children are facing diseases and illnesses with no treatment, have limbs being amputated with no anesthesia, and have severe burns from chemical weapons falling over their heads. No one deserves this. We are all tired from feeling this pain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Bisan. Bisan like the supermarket in downtown San Bruno. Bisan like the 25-year-old reporter that has been forced to report the atrocities and displacement of her people in Gaza. And Bisan like the ancient Palestinian city that has now been renamed and forgotten and removed off the map. We are all here because we refuse to allow Gaza to become like the city of Bisan and be forgotten and erased from history. As you can see, Palestinians have a large presence here in San Bruno. Passing a resolution for a ceasefire will help our community feel seen and heard. Palestinians in Gaza matter, and Palestinians in San Bruno want a ceasefire resolution. Thank you, Tom, for bringing this forward, and I hope we can move it forward to vote for it next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Father George Balbaki, and I am a resident of San Bruno City for over 10 years. I'm a priest and pastor of a Christian Orthodox church in San Francisco. I would like to ask from our city council to vote yes for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, Palestine, for the sake of the millions of civilian people who are living there, who were displaced, bombed, lost thousands and thousands of their children, moms, hundreds and hundreds of families buried alive under the rebels, all their hospitals destroyed and their water resources demolished. For the sake of humanity, please vote yes. United States was and should be always the voice of the voiceless people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Beth Gabau, Stephanie Abu-Garbu, Batul Zaro, Yotvat, and Aisha Abrebesh.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Batul, and I'm here to urge you to agendize the ceasefire resolution. I spent a lot of my childhood in San Bruno, growing up with a lot of the community members that are here in this room. San Bruno has a large community of Palestinian residents and business owners, as you've heard, and this resolution will make your Palestinian constituents feel seen and heard. What's happening in Palestine directly impacts many of our families, and it's not some far-off global issue that we could just ignore. Our Congress representatives and our senators have been turning a blind eye. So we need our San Bruno local leaders to take a stance, as the council did with putting up the Ukraine flag. Let's follow San Francisco's lead and agendize this item. And I also wanted to thank Tom for putting it on the agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Abu-Garbieh. I am a Palestinian American. I thank you first and foremost for the opportunity to speak. I'd also like to take the opportunity to rebuke the sentiment that what's happening in Palestine does not impact your constituents. It does. We are losing our family members. We are losing our hope. We are losing our sanity, continuing to watch these atrocities happen. As a lifelong Bay Area resident, I've always taken pride in the fact that the Bay Area has always been at the forefront of social justice, technological advancements, environmental movements, and so much more. So what makes this scenario any different? While we've seen the same action via mobilization from our citizens, the response from our local officials has been disappointing, to say the least. I trust that most people are good at heart if they allow themselves to use their heart in their decision making. What's happening in Gaza is an absolute crime against humanity. No one deserves to experience these atrocities, no matter their religion, creed, ethnicity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello. I live in Foster City. I'm here to tell you that this will only contribute to the more divisiveness, San Bruno, Texas will go to more policing, more money on hate, graffiti, and cleaning. I want ceasefire. I want peace. And I want the hostages home now. But sadly, every ceasefire before ended with Hamas rearmed with more tunnels and nothing for the Gazan, no bomb shelter, one bomb shelter for the Gazan population. I am sure innocent people are hurt, and my heart goes for all of them. But to show you how complex it is, these numbers, are they include Hamas terrorists? What's children, like 16-year-old children bearing arms? Are these also children when they count them? Because Hamas, who is the one who counts them.
Thank you. Next speaker. Okay, we don't need, I understand everybody's been really, and I thank you so far. I know we have a lot more speakers, and I appreciate it. But even the, excuse me. Excuse me, folks. Sir, you're disrupting the meeting. What I was going to ask is, please, we've been doing well, and I very much appreciate it, but I don't think the hand signals of that or comments are necessary, and I just want to be able to get and listen respectfully to all of our speakers. Thank you very much, and please, thank you.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay, there we go. My name is Aisha, and I fully support agendizing the ceasefire resolution, and thank you so much, Tom, for bringing this forward. Millions of our California state tax dollars have gone towards supplying Israel with weapons that it has used to indiscriminately bomb one of the most densely populated places in the world. Israel is killing roughly 100 children per day. The world has never seen a time in history where children have been killed at this rate. This is the most dangerous time for children, journalists, healthcare workers, and UN officials in history. 2.3 million human beings are being deliberately starved. Israel killed their own unarmed hostages who were holding white flags. We are seeing hundreds of videos every day of the most horrific crimes against humanity. Yesterday, we saw a video of the IOF shooting 3 teenagers and then running over one of their bodies with their vehicle. They are either actively targeting civilians or they are the most incompetent military in the world. We have a responsibility to call for a ceasefire and join Oakland, Richmond, and as of today, San Francisco, and put pressure on our state and federal officials to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello. My name is Beth Gabot. I'm a Jewish American, and I taught at Cappuccino High School for 28 years. I fully, completely support a ceasefire, and I think it's the very least we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speakers, call.
Next speakers are Isra, Hiba, Carlos, Hannah Bachun, and Russell Lee.
Please step forward. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hiba. I'm a Palestinian Muslim member of the community and a former student of Skyline College. I'm here today alongside an entire community behind me, along with people outside, asking you, council members, to look into your hearts and agendize the ceasefire resolution. By agendizing the ceasefire resolution and hopefully passing it on later on, you are telling your community here in San Bruno that you believe human life is sacred, that we are not a community that stands silent while a genocide is occurring in front of our eyes. Wadia al-Fayoum, a 6-year-old Palestinian boy, was stabbed 26 times by his landlord in Chicago. 3 Palestinian men were shot in Vermont for speaking Arabic and wearing a keffiyeh like the one I'm here wearing today. One of those men who were shot will never be able to walk ever again because someone with so much hate inside of them decided that wearing a keffiyeh like this one deserved the consequence of being paralyzed for the rest of your life. When you play into the narrative that these already watered down resolutions divide our community, you need to understand how dangerous it is to your Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim communities here in San Bruno. In October,
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, council members. My name is Asra. I'm a Palestinian American. I'm here on behalf of Senor's Pizza, which is located here in San Bruno, and it's been a staple in the Bay Area for over 20 years now. We also have another pizza store in South City known as Speedy's Pizza. We are here asking to agendize a ceasefire resolution. It's devastating to see what our tax dollars have been doing for decades now. In Gaza, the past 96 days, white phosphorus has been dropped, which is a war crime. Also, water, fuel, and electricity and communication has been cut off, another war crime. Also, communication, a big factor, as part of a collective punishment. Over 26 hospitals have been attacked, including 3 churches, among the mosques, universities, and bakeries, alongside with homes. Even cancer units have been targeted. Babies were left in incubators to die and rot by themselves. This is inhumane and simply unjustifiable. We are all watching a genocide and ethnic cleansing happening before our eyes. Women are giving birth without anesthesia, and children are getting amputated, surgery done without anesthesia, without parents to console them because they died in the bombings. We are looking for our elected officials to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Russell, and I'm a resident of South San Francisco, but here to amplify the calls from the Palestinian community in San Bruno for you to agendize a resolution with calls for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Before you say that this goes into U.S. foreign affairs and your local municipality, do I have to remind the council that U.S. foreign affairs was the reason why Tan Fran was an internment camp for Japanese Americans? Do I have to remind the council that U.S. foreign affairs is the reason why so many of your quote-unquote diverse communities are here in the city, whose restaurants you love to tout, whether that be from U.S.-backed wars, U.S.-backed coups, or U.S.-backed genocide like we're seeing today? We're here because you were there, as the saying goes. You engage in foreign relations with your sister city Narita and Japan, even having your own student exchange program. You raised the Ukrainian flag. Your best restaurant in the city is a Palestinian, Jordanian-owned restaurant. Asking you to pass a resolution to a genocide which is taking the life of one Palestinian child every 15 minutes is the bare minimum. Saying no more to 11,000 children's deaths and counting is as uncomplicated as it gets. You need to agendize a resolution like all these other cities in the Bay Area.
Time. Next speaker.
Hey, good evening. My name is Carlos. Thank you for taking the time to hear our comments. As you can see, there's a lot of people who are directly affected. I don't think there's any ambiguity about this being a local issue. Every year, tens of billions of dollars of our tax dollars goes to defense contractors to go and to kill innocent civilians at the hands of Israelis. It is a very easy thing to do. And is it going to be the thing that makes the difference? Probably not. Is it going to help make that difference for when Palestine is free? I believe so. In the future, when Palestine is free, whether you helped us get there or not is up to you. But I challenge you to look within yourselves, to believe that you can and should make your voice on the record and stand on the right side of history. I urge you. Your constituents are looking to you. Don't let us down. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Next speakers, please.
Next speakers are Shabi Shal, Eleni Katut, Natasha Kay, Noor Husari, and Iyad Shakir.
Thank you.
Hello, council members. My name is Eleni Katut. I was born and raised in this beautiful town alongside 60 members of my Palestinian family. I currently live in District 2. Last month, we came to you because our community is suffering and our federal representatives are not listening to us. We need your help. You read Councilman Hamilton's proposed resolution. You know it's not divisive. There's nothing divisive about calling for peace, a ceasefire, release of all hostages, and unrestricted humanitarian aid. San Bruno is the city with a heart. That's why we raised the Ukrainian flag twice. We aren't asking you to solve a 100-year conflict, but we need your help now to send this message to our representatives in the Biden administration. Please stand with your community here like you stood with Ukraine. Vote yes to agendize this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. I'm here tonight as your neighbor from Foster City and a frequent visitor to San Bruno. I ask that this council reject the request for resolution calling for a ceasefire. Please remind your constituents how taxpayer money works. Remind them that you were not elected for your expertise in foreign policy, and it would be an abuse of your role as members of City Council. Your love for and commitment to this city is apparent, but this resolution will only serve to divide an already traumatized community. I recognize some of the speakers here tonight. You do not want the division or vandalism that this topic brought to our city. Saying no to this item does not mean you don't care. It means you respect our democracy, that you respect the roles to which you were elected and municipal government. It recognizes that this resolution is out of step with your strategic plan, and most importantly, it demonstrates respect for all of your constituents. It is indeed time to put San Bruno first. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, council members. My name is Noor Hasri. I have been a San Bruno resident for the past 24 years. I would like to mention that my last name, to this day, is the largest Christian family that originates from Palestine. I am standing in front of you all as a product of my grandparents' displacement, which brings me to urge you to stand with humanity and call for a ceasefire in Gaza, free flow of humanitarian aid, and the release of hostages on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Albert, Andrew Katut, Vanessa Anderson, Rami, and Zozo Tion.
Please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Albert Bazouzi, a 30 years resident of San Bruno. I can't imagine why anyone would oppose a ceasefire to stop the killings of innocent civilians. Some are worried about San Bruno tax money, but hundreds of billions sent to Israel to keep the only occupation on this earth. Yes, for the release of hostages, but also for the release of 10,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons for decades without charges. Nobody even asked about them. I really strongly recommend that you pass this resolution very urgently, as every day 200 over kids and women are getting killed every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, good evening. My name is Andrew Katut, and I've been a District 3 resident for my 30 years of life. Yes, I'm another San Bruno Katut, and believe it or not, we have many more at home who could not make it in attendance today. We have many youth in the pipeline. I'm here not to only represent my family, but the majority of Americans asking for a ceasefire. Why is this even a debate? If not ceasefire, we are allowing open fire. Do not complicate this. Vote yes on ceasefire. With no amendments, San Bruno should not debate on peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, City Council. My name is Vanessa Anderson. I was born and raised in San Francisco, but have made San Bruno District 1 my home for the last 2 years. I urge you to vote yes to agendize the ceasefire resolution. Your community is looking for you to make a difference because all other avenues have failed us. Tonight, you have a chance to do something meaningful, to take a unified stance with humanity. San Francisco passed the ceasefire resolution today because it's the right thing to do. Please vote in favor of this resolution to keep San Bruno on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Rami Barkawi, and thank you very much, Council Member Hamilton, for bringing this very important resolution to the floor. I urge you to agendize it. As you can tell, the turnout is so massive. I don't think the city of San Bruno has ever seen a turnout this big. That makes it a very much a local issue. It is not a faraway issue. It touches each and every single house. It's in every bedroom in your community. Your constituents are asking you to look towards the obvious thing. I mean, The Palestinians deserve self-determination. We deserve to live a life without military occupation. It's the last military occupation of the world. What are we talking about here? I have family in Gaza that experiences death, home demolition, displacement, life not homelessness, life not fit for humans to live. And we're here talking about, you should stay in your lane. This is your lane. To take a look at what your people are asking for is your lane. Take care of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Time. No, folks. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Ozo Tian. I am a biotech worker in San Bruno area. I urge you to agendize and pass the ceasefire resolution. It's a humanitarian imperative, not a merely politics. A ceasefire in Gaza, Palestine directly aligns with San Bruno's values of peace and unity, reflecting our solidarity as we've shown when we raised the Ukrainian flag. Our community, which is rich Palestinian American presence, expects us to act. Let's unite with our neighboring cities and affirm with our neighboring cities, Oakland, Richmond, San Francisco, and confirm lives Sun City. I implore you, please place the ceasefire in our agenda and pass it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Mad L, Jing Shi, Shane Pollard, Rula Palmer, and Cameron Palmer.
Hi. I want to thank you all for beginning the discussion for a ceasefire resolution. Many people are wondering why the city of San Bruno should even consider a resolution about foreign affairs, and if it would even do any good. But here's why it is absolutely a local issue. Every single year, San Bruno residents' tax dollars contribute $560,000 to Israel to support their military development. This could fund public housing for 66 families, free health care for 194 children, or the salaries of 6 elementary school teachers here in San Bruno. Our Palestinian community members also need to know that you value their lives and the lives of their family members and friends in Gaza. I hope you can bravely follow the footsteps of our neighboring cities, Richmond, Oakland, and San Francisco, starting by agendizing the resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Jing Shi, and thank you, Tom, for bringing forward. And I'm urging the City Council to agendize the resolution. I want to make 2 points. First is how really just humanitarian or humane this resolution is. We're calling for ceasefire for humans, for Palestinians. We're calling for release of hostages on both sides. We're calling for humanitarian aid for people that are living without shelter on the street with diseases being spread and not in these dehumanized conditions. And second is, again, echoing many points that many of my friends have already called for, that it is very much a local issue. Just by seeing the people here tonight, it is unfounded in the city of San Bruno, San Francisco, Richmond, Oakland, that this issue is uniting your constituents to make us come out and speak, to make us make connections.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Rula Palmer. I am a Palestinian daughter of parents who were displaced in 1948 from Jaffa. I please urge you to support this resolution and call for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Cameron Palmer. I'm a first-generation Palestinian American born and raised in the city of San Bruno. It's hard to find the words to say when a lot of what you see kind of leaves you speechless, but I do think it's extremely urgent to agendize the issue at hand. I think we need a ceasefire, we need unrestricted humanitarian aid, and we need a release of hostages on all sides. I hope that you are able to really hear what a lot of people in this room are saying to you tonight, not only as people of the council, but as humans. And yeah, I hope that you're able to feel the warmth of your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Shani Pollard, and I'm a resident of San Bruno. I live in District 2, and I respectfully ask you not to agendize the proposed ceasefire resolution. I think most of us are hurting for the innocent victims on both sides of this war and would like nothing more than to see a permanent peace in the Middle East. But this resolution will only cause unnecessary division in San Bruno. This council was elected to serve San Bruno. A resolution taking sides in a war between two other countries is beyond the scope of your duties and falls outside of the scope of the 7 focus areas that you defined for this year. I won't read them. I urge you to please continue to focus on local priorities and to promote opportunities that bring our diverse population together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Kinta Dawa, Steve Wise, Jazz H., Jackie G., and Jennifer Origel.
Please do not agendize this divisive resolution. Israel has agreed to a permanent ceasefire if Hamas will surrender and release all hostages. No pictures, please. Easy. The war can end tonight. No resolution needed. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire, remember? On October 7th, Hamas broke it through murder, rape of civilians, burning babies, and abduction. Hamas has released a video threatening a larger terrorist attack if Israel agrees to a ceasefire. It's on TikTok and YouTube. Take a lozenge.
Excuse me.
Counsel,
hold on.
is this what you want?
Mr. Vice, hold on. Pause the timer. If we need to take a recess, I'm happy to do that. I would hope it's not necessary at this point, but reactions like that, you will require me to take a recess. So it's in your hands. But every speaker, the way I like to run it as mayor, is given the same opportunity and respect to be heard. First Amendment is very important in this country, but it also gives the right for everyone to be heard. And I know if you were up there and that was being done to you, you would expect this mayor, me, to also put a pause on it. So with that, please begin and timer.
Council, is this what you want for San Bruno? If there is no fuel for hospitals, how does Hamas have fuel for rockets? When humanitarian aid enters Gaza, it's Hamas that confiscates it. Do we hide our bombs in Cappuccino High School because that is where Hamas hides theirs?
Time. That's a lie. Okay. I'm sorry, your time is up. That's a lie. Okay, folks, I'm going to hear, how many more speakers do we have? I'm going to hear from 3 more, and we're going to take a short recess. After that, allow anybody who may need to use the facility, take a breath, and so that we can come back and continue to hear from everyone. Next speaker, please.
Mayor, council members, each of you are elected to represent your city and your districts. You have no authority as individuals, and you must act as a collective body and act as a majority. As you see and hear tonight, this is a local issue. I'm addressing you.
Thank you.
Over 93%, the majority has shown up to ask you to see us, to hear us. And we're asking you to agendize and approve a resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. A humanitarian ceasefire. It's that simple. Between now and your next meeting, take some time to meet with your community members. Hear us, learn from us. We're the ones asking you to put this on the agenda and pass it. Thank you for doing that, and it would be so beautiful to see the Palestinian flag raised in solidarity, the same way you did for Ukraine. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Jackie. I grew up and live in District 3, as do my parents, my grandparents, many of my relatives. These are not people from anywhere else. These are people from right here, where you live. I've heard my neighbors speak today, my old classmates, friends of my father and my family. This is right here. I see nothing but unity in this room. I've seen nothing but unity for weeks and months as people have gathered and met with you all and urged you all to pass this resolution. All I see here is togetherness, more togetherness than I've seen in San Bruno in a long time. People have brought up other times where we've unfortunately experienced tragedy and we've all had to come together. But I need everybody to open your eyes and look around this room. I do not see division. I see so many people asking you for the same thing. Vote yes on this. It's clear.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, good day. My name is Jazz. I'm a lifelong Bay Area resident, and I urge you, and quite frankly demand as a constituent, that you agendize this ceasefire resolution. It is genuinely the least that we can ask for the Palestinian people, for the people of Gaza. There are a lot of, or not a lot, but we have heard some opposition, some opposing sides today that come from people who all look the same, all share the privilege that is apparent, that shows that they feel safe here. And what you have here is a lot of Palestinians, a lot of people from the impacted community telling you that they don't feel safe, and they will not feel safe, and they will not feel any resolve until their family members and their communities in occupied Palestine are safe. And what they need is for you to start with this very, very small step to pass the ceasefire resolution, to follow tons of cities that have done the same, and to set the theme and the tone of support for them and other brown impacted people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Kinda. I've been a San Bruno resident of District 3 for the past 23 years. With deep ties in this community, I'm here to urge you to vote yes to agendize the ceasefire resolution. Some council members have stated this resolution is beyond local government and a matter of international affairs. I'm here to remind you that on March 8, 2022, this council unanimously consented to raising the Ukrainian flag not once but twice. We're here coming today as members of your city, not only seeking solidarity, but more so the reassurance of your humanity. The facts show that acceptance of global violence contributes to local community violence. Advocating for a ceasefire will let this community know that there is only tolerance for peace, unity, and safety for all its constituents. San Bruno may be a small city, but it has a big heart. Do not stay silent and complicit during this humanitarian crisis. Ceasefire now.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I know we've heard speakers for over an hour. I'm going to give that opportunity for anyone who needs to take a break, maybe stretch a little bit, move around, and then we're going to go into recess and come back no later than 9 p.m. And we'll begin. Well, it's 8:50 now. Folks, it's 8:50 now. If we can all get back faster, then we will do that, and then we will continue on with the public speaking. There's a capacity issue. If you do exit, you will not be able to return in, just as an FYI. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate coming back together. We're reconvening from our recess, and I appreciate everybody's patience coming back, and thank you. With that, I would say we are about halfway through, just to give some expectation. So we probably have over 60 plus 70 more speakers, so we're going to continue on the same process. And again, as a reminder, let's give that respect, the courtesy, and we'll do the 5 and keep flowing and be mindful of the time. Please.
Next speakers are Jacob Rontisi, Mandy Rontisi, Izzy Rontisi, Luna Khalil Abudamus, and Tamer Abul Hassan. I'm sorry, Abul San.
Whenever you're ready, you start.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Council. My name is Jacob Brantisi. I am 9 years old and I go to Allen Elementary School in San Bruno. What is going on in this world makes me feel sad because children and adults are scared and don't know if this will be their last time on earth. The kids that are in Gaza cannot eat, sleep in peace. They cannot read books or play outside. They cannot sit at the dinner table and talk to their mom and dad in peace because they are scared and don't know if they are going to be bombed. I wish they can just be normal kids living in a normal, peaceful life. Please add a ceasefire resolution on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's hard not to clap. And maybe young people get a pass, okay? But after that, okay. Oh, can pull the mic down, make sure. Is it good? Okay, thank you. I couldn't see that. Anytime you're ready, you go ahead.
Hi, my name is Izzy. I am 7 years old. I go to school in San Bruno, and all I want is a ceasefire resolution on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you also know where we can take lessons from young people? Short, to the point, and concise. Next speaker.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Medina. My name is Mandy Rantisi, and I was born and raised in San Bruno, District 2. My 2 kids, the 2 little heroes that you just heard speaking, attend Allen Elementary School. I'm here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for an enduring ceasefire. San Bruno, the city with a heart, cannot stay silent in the face of a genocide. As a Palestinian American who has been a San Bruno resident, it is important for us to be seen, heard, and protected by our city. My 2 young children love to support their Palestinian culture by wearing their keffiyehs, but I will not let them during these times with the rise in hate crimes. I don't want my children being targeted, as we will never forget the 6-year-old boy, Wadia Al-Fayoum, who was stabbed to death in Illinois. I urge the city of San Bruno to agendize this resolution so that the safety of children and human life is ensured from communities around the world, no matter their ethnic, national, or religious background. If this resolution will not be recognized by the council, how can you reassure us the protection of our... Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Tamer Abul Hassan. I am a resident here in San Bruno, District 3. I want to thank you, Mayor and fellow council members, for hearing our voices. I'm here to speak about human life. This isn't about taking sides, but instead understanding what is to become of our future generations. I ask you to call for a ceasefire for one simple reason: to cherish the life of innocent people around the world, not only in Gaza. We do not want a war. We do not want hate. We want to live our lives in peace and harmony, and let the decision to create peace be done without any bloodshed. I am a teacher and a father, and seeing videos and pictures of the horrors being done to children hurts me. Please be supportive on the side of peace, not hate, inshallah.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Honorable Mayor and Council members, my name is Luna. I'm a dedicated resident of San Bruno's District 3 for over 14 years. Today, I urge you to consider a resolution advocating for a Gaza ceasefire, echoing our community's values of justice, peace, and human rights. The situation in Gaza is a humanitarian crisis, not a political matter. Innocent lives are lost daily, and millions face displacement, disease, and a lack of basic resources. Let's stand united in urging a ceasefire and the release of hostages on both sides. As a society, we must think globally globally and act locally, prioritizing human lives over political differences. Our resolution should not only seek an end to violence, but also advocate for dialogue, understanding, and a shared commitment for lasting peace. Thank you for considering this crucial resolution aligning with the values that make our community strong and compassionate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next list of speakers, please.
Next speakers are Roya Pourmont, Alice Aran, Bernie Hyde, Inas El-Mashni, and Jamal Shami.
Hello, council members. Thank you for your time today. My name is Roya Pourmont, and I was raised in San Bruno for 23 years, a graduate of Capuchino High School. As an Iranian American, one thing I've always appreciated about San Bruno is our diversity. San Bruno is truly a special place. I urge the City Council to put the ceasefire resolution on the next meeting's agenda and vote yes in favor of peace. Our Palestinian American community is integral to San Bruno, and each of them deserves respect and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. Regardless of anyone's take on the proposed resolution, it is not in the scope of the elected officials of San Bruno. Foreign policy is a State Department function, not the San Bruno City Council. Demanding that elected officials endorse and sign an opinion-based resolution without a vote of the residents of San Bruno is a false representation of their constituents. We should not put the City Council on the spot, nor respect them for taking the liberty to step outside San Bruno's stated mission under the assumption a majority of the voting community agrees with the current resolution. The expectations are that the city focuses on the many areas that their elected roles that desperately need attention for San Bruno residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, as an owner of a business down the street on El Camino Royale, I stand before you today to advocate for the importance of placing on the agenda a resolution calling for a ceasefire. This isn't about division. It's about unity and ensuring that the voices of our community are heard. By putting this resolution on the agenda, you open a town square of ideas, a space for our community to express their concerns and fears. San Bruno is a diverse tapestry of voices, and it is your responsibility as public servants to provide a platform for these voices to be heard. This resolution is not about taking sides in a distant conflict. It's about acknowledging the impact on our community and giving our residents an opportunity to share their perspectives. Placing it on the agenda is an act of transparency, showing that you value the input of our community. In doing so, you uphold the fundamental right to our residents.
Next speaker, please. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow council members. Thank you for your time and patience this evening. My name is Inas. I was born and raised in San Bruno District 1, went to Rollingwood Elementary, and was a Parkside Panther. It is in San Bruno where my parents, who are the products of displacement, immigrated from Palestine 50 years ago and settled ever since. I am here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and unrestricted humanitarian aid for the thousands of civilians in need. I would like everyone in this room to visualize the Chase Center in San Francisco where the Warriors play. That can seat 18,000 people. More people than can fit in that stadium have been killed. And those that are trying to survive are now threatened and dying of starvation. We are witnessing a devastating full-force humanitarian crisis. According to Reuters news outlet, on average, a child is killed every 10 minutes in Gaza. San Bruno, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Andrew Katut, Mariana Katut, Tagreed Shamai, Tamer Yezer, and Nader Abumval, I apologize, Abumval Lish.
Please, whoever wishes. Thank you.
Hello, council members and Mayor Medina. My name is Mariana Coutu. I also went to Cappuccino High School class of 2007. I am a Palestinian American, and I have been a District 3 San Bruno resident for the last 34 years. Please vote yes to agendize this resolution. When Russia began bombarding Ukraine, we raised the Ukrainian flag. Israel is doing the same to Palestinians. We aren't asking you to raise our flag. We just want you to pass a resolution saying that this is not okay. It should never happen to anyone. If San Bruno can raise a flag for a white country but can't even say that brown people should stop being killed, there's only one word for that: racist. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tagreed. As a second grade teacher in San Bruno, I see the flame of peace burning in my students' eyes every day. They understand the power of humanity, just like countless others around the world. And now it's our turn to fan that flame into a beacon. This ceasefire resolution offers San Bruno a chance to step into the circle of communities pushing for humanity and empathy. Imagine sending a ripple of humanity from this council to our classrooms and upward, proving that a city like ours can embrace ideals and like humanity. Think of the impact on our children, on future generations, watching their city prioritize peace. I believe they will be proud to call this place where bridges of understanding were built and humanity was prioritized. Let's agendize this resolution, council members. Let San Bruno be the echo that amplifies the call for a more peaceful world. Let's be the generation that shows the next. Yes, humanity does find a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, Council. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Tamar Yasser. I'm Palestinian and a San Bruno resident. We must work together and call for a ceasefire. There is no animosity between both sides, as Israel has demonstrated they are willing to expense their own people as well as the lives of Palestinians. Both sides are being killed innocently at the hands of the Israeli government. We know Palestine is under attack and occupied by Israel because of this genocide that is currently happening. Palestinians call for a ceasefire. Orthodox Jews call for a ceasefire, and many other ethnic groups call for a ceasefire. It is a humanitarian right to be able to live willfully. We ask the Council and all of San Bruno to agendize this ceasefire, and it is imperative the United States follow suit because we must lead by example. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, Council. My name is Nadir. As a resident of San Bruno, I stand before the Council today to call for a majority vote in favor of agendizing the ceasefire resolution as drafted by Councilmember Hamilton. Residents of San Bruno are asking the Council to once again take a stance and raise a flag in solidarity with those who have been wrongfully subjected to conflict. The flag that we are asking you to raise now in the form of this resolution does not belong to a single nation or people, but rather all of humanity. Please consider agendizing and passing the ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers are Musa Tariq, Sarah Heikel, Zainab Harara, Amina El-Mashni, and Samiha Erakat.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Musa with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and I'm here to echo everyone here in urging the city of San Bruno to agendize a ceasefire resolution. Today in San Francisco, a historic ceasefire resolution was passed by the SF Board of Supervisors. This was not a divisive resolution, but a united call for basic humanity and dignity. The energy in SF City Hall after it passed was full of relief, joy, grace, solidarity, and love. Cheers, applause, and chants for peace rang through the halls for 30 minutes after the vote. SF is the largest city in the U.S. to call for a ceasefire so far, and the strong show of solidarity in this very room tonight contradicts any and all claims of division. We hope the city of San Bruno will follow suit in this historic moment and stand on the right side of history. You can see everyone sitting here bearing their hearts and souls to stand up for peace, so there's no excuse to ignore the will of the people. Agendize the ceasefire resolution now, not later. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello. My name is Sarah Heikel. I went to Allen, Parkside, and Cappuccino.
Much of what I wanted to say has already been said, so I want to reiterate that this council has an obligation to its citizens, to its Palestinian residents that are our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, our classmates. I think the city has an obligation to protect the families of many of our residents who are currently being bombed in Gaza. And, sorry. I implore the council to ignore the truly apathetic calls to ignore this genocide and to instead focus on local issues, even though many of our own residents here within our community are Palestinian who are being personally affected by this genocide. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Council members, thank you for your time. My name is Samiha Harakat. I'm a proud Palestinian Muslim American. I urge you to take this time to really listen to what your constituents are asking of you. We are not asking for donations or sympathy or the condemnation or siding of any group. We are simply asking for you to advocate for humanity. I urge you to listen to the voices in this room. This resolution will not endanger our community in any way. It will only strengthen it and evolve our capacity for collective empathy. San Bruno is a city with heart, and this resolution is only befitting of its legacy. Please support putting the ceasefire resolution on the agenda. Thank you. Ceasefire now.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Zainab, and I'm a Palestinian Muslim American, here urging you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Since 2005, my family in Gaza has been suffering under Israeli oppression and apartheid. That's 19 years. I have lost many family members over those years due to Israeli medical misconduct and several unprovoked attacks by the Israeli military. And since October 7th, I have now lost over 50 family members in Gaza. That's 50. In addition to the 23,000 other Palestinians that have been massacred, 10,000 of which are children. Our tax dollars are funding death. And we need to end that federal spending on Israeli militarism and focus on the development of our San Bruno economy and community. I urge you to call for a permanent ceasefire, allow for unrestricted aid to enter into Gaza, and the safe release of hostages on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Amina, and I am a longtime resident of San Bruno living in District 1. I grew up in San Bruno schools and attended San Bruno School District until middle school. San Bruno is also the place my parents found as home away from home. As a community member, I am here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza. San Bruno, the city with a heart, cannot stay silent in the face of genocide. Although we are living halfway across the world, the dire situation in Gaza directly impacts me as a Palestinian San Bruno resident. We as a community want to ensure we're being equally heard, represented, and that our elected city council members are not turning their backs on their Palestinian residents, who for a long time have contributed to the success and the flourishment of this city. It was a no-brainer when this city council stood by Ukraine. It should be a no-brainer that this city council stand with Gaza. Call for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza now and be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. May we have the next speakers?
Next speakers are Azizu Jennifer Megrisi, Noor, Ghassan Shamai, Vikin Jinguzu Zian, and Jeremy Dunk.
Hi, I'm Aziza, a resident in San Bruno, more than, oh, no? My name is Aziza. I'm resident of San Bruno for more than 10 years. I'm here to ask you to vote yes for ceasefire legislation. I'm so concerned and devastated knowing that my tax money, our tax money, is funding the killing of thousands and thousands of innocent civilians in Gaza. I, like the majority of the people here, would like to stop the bloodshed of innocent civilians. Right now, we like you have the power to make our voices heard, and please take immediate action to stop the killing and before another life is taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Ghassan Shamia. Council members, we stand before you today not as adversaries, but as concerned citizens. For too long, our voices have been lost in the deafening echo chambers of Washington. Our pleas for peace drowned out by gridlock. But San Bruno is not Washington. We, the diverse makeup of this community, elected leaders like yourselves to reflect our values, not stand idly by in moments that call for us to demonstrate our collective humanity. A ceasefire in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict isn't a partisan issue. It's a humanitarian imperative. Every child, every family ripped apart by this endless war bleeds the same color. Is silence an option? When innocent lives are lost, is inaction our sole contribution? We, the people of San Bruno, say no. We demand action, not apathy. We urge you, our council, to agendize the resolution, not to choose sides, but to choose humanity. Don't let our voices be lost again. Hear us, council members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Noor, and I'm a current high school senior. As a former student of San Bruno, I was taught the importance of civil action, of standing up for what's right, and of taking pride in calling our city, San Bruno, the city with a heart. I stand in front of you today as a result of my education and out of the urgency of the current circumstances in Gaza. My fellow Palestinians and I are ingrained in this city. We are students, we are business owners, and we are active members of this community, and we ask you to support us as we support you. Despite what the opposition claims, local actions are not at all insignificant and grow to contribute to national and international impacts. A ceasefire is a call for peace, and the opposite of that is open fire. We cannot stand by and silently watch the slaughter of Gazans. We must do everything in our ability to save them. You can make a difference and save lives, starting with your actions tomorrow. As a student, a Palestinian, and most importantly, a human, I urge our city leaders to stand with humanity and call for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza. Just a few hours ago, San Francisco voted yes on their ceasefire resolution. This is our chance to join them on the right side of history and to show them that San Bruno really is a city with a heart. Thank you.
Next list of speakers.
Next speakers are Sosan Dabit, Justin Rudigano, Devonta Jewett, Amir Mosa, and Wassam Dawa.
Good evening. My name is Wissam Dua, and I'm a San Bruno resident, and I live in District 3. I urge you to agendize a humanitarian ceasefire, unrestricted humanitarian aid, and a release of all hostages. And here's why. Hundreds of our San Bruno community members are personally affected and distressed by the indiscriminate killing of civilians and children. A few days before Christmas, the 70-year-old Nahida Khalil Anton and her 50-year-old daughter, Samad Anton, sought refuge in a Catholic church in Gaza when they were both sniped by an Israeli sniper inside the church. I live right next to St. Robert's Church, and I thought, what if that happened right here? What makes that church or that elderly woman any different than our churches or elderly neighbors in San Bruno? We must advocate for a ceasefire to achieve peace and unity, and it begins right here in our community. San Bruno is recognized as a city of the heart. Supporting this resolution will continue to pump the heart with love, unity, and support for all humanity, just like how we supported Ukraine when we rose the flag twice.
Next speaker.
Hello, members. My name is Justine Ritigliano. I'm a former teacher of Cappuccino High School, and I reside in San Francisco. I come to you tonight as a public high school educator for 24 years, as a mother, as a friend of Palestinian and Jewish people, but most of all, as a person who finds great value in human life, no matter the geographical location upon which that life began. My heart breaks for the civilian devastation and annihilation that the people of Gaza and the surrounding region continue to endure. Have you seen what my eyes have seen? Apartment buildings, hospitals, refugee camps, schools, entire neighborhoods neighborhoods have been leveled. People have been forced to listen to their loved ones screaming beneath the rubble for help, and they are unable to pull them out. They may only do so using their hands. Can you imagine experiencing that? 22,000 plus civilian lives have been lost. Some 11,000 of those were children. Do you know that at least 10 Gazan children lose one or both legs every day? There are major shortages of anesthesia and basic medical supplies for tragedies such as these. As you know, there are approximately 42,000 people in San Bruno. Can you imagine that happening here?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, City and Council members. I'm here to urge you to agendize and vote yes on the resolution of a permanent ceasefire, unrestricted humanitarian aid, and the release of all the hostages. Make no mistake, what's happening in Gaza is not a war or a conflict on both sides. It's an absolute genocide and a humanitarian crisis. We watch in horror as the violence in Gaza continues. Imagine babies, children, families dying, losing limbs and not being able to even bury them, not having a memorial for them, not having a funeral for them, for all the families and friends that they lost, especially all the folks who are displaced, murdered, facing diseases, pollution, toxic chemicals, and so much more. I urge the City Council members of San Bruno to show unconditional solidarity to the Palestinian and Palestinian American residents in San Bruno. Passing this resolution shows your humanity, which is essential. You have the power to stop it. Be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Sosan, and I'm a resident of District 1. I was born in Jerusalem, Palestine, and moved to San Bruno. I grew up in John Muir, Parkside, and Cap. Ms. Retigliano was my teacher. I'm here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a resolution calling for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza. Over 20,000 Palestinian civilians, including 10,000 children, have been killed. Among those killed are family members of some of my closest friends. Among those killed are loved ones of members of my church. As a direct result of Israel's declared policy, 4 of the 5 hungriest people on earth are now in Gaza. 1,000 Palestinian children have undergone amputations without anesthesia. Over 100 heritage sites have been damaged or destroyed. The compounding impacts are horrifying. The gravity of the destruction of life cannot be overstated. Behind every statistic is a person, a human being entitled to freedom, equality, dignity, and peace. It is important that my city stands on the right side of history with human rights and prioritizes peace for all people. Call for a ceasefire and restricted humanitarian aid and the release of hostages on both sides. Justice does not start with silence. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Greetings, Council. My name is Amir Musa. My family and I were actually just in Gaza this past summer, and we were able to witness the Israeli siege on the area firsthand before the massacres and bombardment began. I at least got to enjoy my time getting to see all my family, but did not expect it to be the last time I would see so many of them. Over 30 of my innocent family members, half of which were children, have been murdered, who would still be alive today had the ceasefire come earlier. The ones who are alive are starving and freezing in tents. I have lived in or near San Bruno my entire life, and knowing that my city's representatives do not support the halt of innocent killings of my own family members is extremely disheartening considering how much we contribute and dedicate to the city that we also call home. The argument that this is not a local issue is clearly a fallacy, judging by the testimonies given today. We are not asking you to pick sides. We just want an end to innocent deaths and hope that you can properly represent the interests of the people of the city by calling for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speakers.
Next speakers are Zainab, Abraham Alfgori, Rohan Sabnis, Rami Salah, and Norma Karsa.
Hello, City Council. My name is Zeta Masri, a current high school student. I came here to speak out and stand to agendize for a ceasefire resolution. As we sit and listen today, we will hear the argument that calling for a ceasefire is not an issue for the City Council to deal with. I find it to be an ineffective argument. Not only does that statement absolutely disregard the Palestinian population of San Bruno, but the overall Arab and Muslim population as well, who have also been targeted by hate recently and whose family have been directly impacted and murdered. As my advanced placement government and politics teacher once taught me, passing and proposing resolutions is a form of civic engagement, and is one that can go beyond local impact and
contribute to a national consensus. The only way to get things to the national level, to legislation, is to start off local. This resolution will bring our community closer together and show that our city leaders listen to the voices of the people. The ceasefire resolution will promote peace, unity, and community safety for all constituents. In conclusion, I urge our city leaders to stand with humanity and call for an enduring ceasefire in Gaza and free flow of humanitarian aid. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Abraham, a first-generation student, Palestinian American, and current student at Cappuccino High School. As a Cappuccino student, I can assure you there are no bombs at Cappuccino. Even if there was, would it be morally acceptable to bomb the entire school with the students in it? In Gaza, that's all they have experienced. All I can say is I'm infuriated by the present time displacement and colonization of Palestinians. I would like you all to imagine this. You're sitting in class. The teacher tells you to take out your history textbook and take notes on a new chapter. You turn to the page. You have one thought running wildly in your mind. How did people get away with such atrocities? In simple terms, it's the naiveness of the people in power not willing to accept the so-called complicated truth. This is why we speak our truth, the oppressed truth, the counter-narrative, uncensored, not uneducated truth. We must acknowledge we are the past, present, and the future that will construct what generations preceding us will open their textbooks to. Don't let it be the unjust lives of Palestinian children. Let it be a prosperous Palestine, and start by adding a ceasefire resolution to the San Bruno City Council January. Thank
Next
you.
speaker, please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Rami Salah, and I speak to you as a physician whose calling it is to heal and relieve suffering. Witnessing the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, as a physician, I will do whatever I can to preserve life. I speak to you as the president of Yassine Foundation, the peninsula's largest Muslim community and organization. As a man of faith, I will do whatever I can to preserve life. And I speak to you as a resident of San Bruno, District 1. As my profession and faith have informed my values, so did growing up in this great city with a heart. You may hear that a ceasefire resolution divides us, but that is simply not true. War divides people. Calling for peace unites us. San Bruno taught me that our shared humanity, regardless of background, connects us. And preparing for tonight, I have met many new friends and reconnected with old ones. I am proud my son goes to the same elementary school I went to, and I'm proud he's going to grow up in a city that decided to agendize the resolution. Thank you.
Next speaker.
My name is Rohan. I live on the peninsula, and I'm here in solidarity with the Palestinian community here. Other cities like Richmond, Oakland, and today, San Francisco have already passed ceasefire resolutions. I urge you to be on the right side of history and please agendize and pass a ceasefire resolution as soon as possible. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, San Bruno City Council. My name is Noma Karsa. I'm a co-owner and brand leader, and I'm a recent immigrant to the United States from Gaza. We're not here today to discuss the complex situation of the Middle East or Gaza, but what's going on in Gaza is a war on innocent civilians and, in fact, ethnic cleansing. Me personally have survived many attacks on Gaza with all the pain, horror, and absolute despair. But that doesn't compare to 1 minute of the horror that I've lived not knowing the destiny of my son, my mom, and my sister in Gaza. Cutting off water, electricity, food, communications, and all basic human needs is just not acceptable. This is something the United States does not and have not supported ever. San Bruno is known as a city with a heart. This is your opportunity to prove that this is not only a slogan. Let us join other morally responsible cities that have adopted a resolution to ceasefire. We are here to ask and implore you to do what's right by humanity, and your decision on this matter will be noted. Thank you.
Next list.
Next speakers are Rich McKenna, Frank McAlorum, Nick Katut, Alexia Villarreal, and Linda Corey Umili.
Good evening. My name is Rich McKenna. Went to elementary school at St. Roberts, went to CAP, met my wife at CAP. My kids went to St. Roberts, and they graduated from CAP. I'm here to ask for the ceasefire, just like another 153 countries are doing right now. I think it's the least that we could do for a city. I'm very proud of this community, and I'm really happy that we're all doing the right thing here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Council. My name is Frank McAlorm. I'm a San Bruno resident for over 20 years, originally from Ireland. I come here to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Committing murder and genocide is not defending yourself. Israel has one agenda, and that is to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people from their own land and expand their borders with the help of the American tax dollars. I asked you please to support an immediate ceasefire, free Palestine.
Thank you. Next speaker. Folks, thank you. Please, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Hello, council members. My name is Linda Khoury Oumali. I'm Palestinian and I grew up in San Bruno. I'm here to ask you to agendize a ceasefire resolution and be a force for peace and humanity. In Gaza, an estimated 30,000 Palestinian Muslims and Christians have been killed, including those who remain under the rubble. Israel is bombing all civilian infrastructure, including mosques and churches. The Christian community in Gaza numbers about 1,000 and is literally at risk of extinction as a result of this indiscriminate bombing and siege. Without a ceasefire, civilian deaths will exponentially increase due to a man-made crisis of famine and disease. Israel's complete siege of food, fuel, water, and electricity on Gaza has led to a humanitarian catastrophe, and international organizations are begging for a ceasefire, without which they cannot provide the humanitarian aid that is in dire need. Please agendize this resolution. History will be our judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Alexia Villarreal. I speak today not only as a San Bruno resident, but as a supporting community member to my fellow Palestinian neighbors, friends, and families whom I have grown up with here in the city. We as a community urge you all to agendize the call for a ceasefire, denouncing the escalation of the Gazan genocide and Israeli siege of Palestine, all of which have violated international human rights and humanitarian law. Standing with humanity is never controversial. Standing with our Palestinian community here in San Bruno, whose love and impact have been felt and cherished by so many, should not be controversial. Our city is in a position to shape the narrative, for it is our duty as a municipality to stand for what is right. And what is right is to call for an immediate, permanent ceasefire to stop the bombing and promote peace and community safety. As more and more cities like San Francisco tonight become pressured by the overwhelming call for ceasefire from their constituents, we must remind ourselves that while positions in council may be temporary, our legacy as a city can be diminished to its silence and complicity in genocide. Please do not ignore our community's call. Please do not feel comfort in your silence. Please do right by our name as a city with the heart and call for a ceasefire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers, please.
Next speakers are Hussein Dawa, Khalid Hatini, Ashraf Abwelras, Steve Dempsey, and Ola Jasad.
Good evening. The situation in Gaza is behind explanation. The misery that people live there is tremendous. We cannot even describe it. I'm here not to discuss what's going on in Gaza. The Gaza is a big issue, but I'm going to talk about the impact of the violence in Gaza in our community. This is really an issue for our community. The situation over there bring the attention of the international community, it bring the attention of United States and also in San Bruno. As you see, there is so many Palestinian people who got affected, with this impact. Many of them, had lost their family. And I'm gonna say, ceasefire mean peace. Ceasefire mean we can live together as a people with safety situation in the street of San Bruno.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you, members of the councils. I'm here to represent my mother who lives in San Bruno. And, the genocide hasn't started just now. It started back in 1948 when my parents were ethnically cleansed from their homeland in Safed. But, without bringing too much history, what's happening in Gaza today is literally what happened to my parents. And many of these people probably were registered refugees prior to becoming U.S. citizens, just like I was. So we already gave up on Washington, and having the power to bring our voices to you through the council is what can hopefully make a little bit of a difference by putting pressures on elected officials in Washington. So I urge you to please vote yes in the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Council members and mayors, thank you for being here today. I wanted to talk about agendanizing the ceasefire resolution. What we're seeing in Gaza is a humanitarian crisis. Innocent people are being killed. They're not dying, they're killed. 2 of those are my uncle. One of them due to not having any medical access in Gaza. Another killed right in front of his doorstep and left to bleed out as he was going to get food for his family. We're asking for a ceasefire. Where are all the human rights of Palestinians? We must think globally and act locally. No more war, and a big yes to peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Steve Dempsey. I've lived in San Bruno for 30 plus years. I've been sitting here listening to everybody talk. I heard some people say you guys aren't qualified or shouldn't be making this decision. I heard people say there's no value in this. Well, look around the room. You've got a San Bruno community
Dempsey.
here. You got a San Bruno community in support of a ceasefire resolution. You had about 10 or 12 people that weren't even from San Bruno come in here and say that you shouldn't do a ceasefire resolution. They're not even from our community. I think the choice is clear. I think you guys should stand up right now in unity and tell these people that it's at least on the agenda. If not, it's voted for. It's that simple. It's pretty obvious that people have spoken. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Ola El Sadi. I'm a San Bruno resident since 1999. I'm from Gaza. My family all there. What I hear, like a few people they said about the October 7. I just want to say one thing. October 7, there is a big report about it that it's Israel's bombed their own people, not Hamas, and they want to attack Hamas, but all what they do kill civilians. My family part of it, my neighbors, my friends. A lot of it got killed for no reason. If they want, we need to stand up and stop this, because this is not, I cannot imagine I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning and find more people, my family member or my neighbor got killed. This is not fair for them. We are human. Israel did not even have ashamed to say it clearly that we want to kill each Palestinian live in Gaza, and they are proud of it. And if you want to look at the news and any report, that's what you're going to say. They want to kill us. They want to finish all Palestinians. Thank you so much.
Next speakers, please.
Next speakers are Jamal Katoot, Fadi Jada, Claudia Mizravi, Nicole Hanhan, and Shay Rantisi.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jamal Yusuf Katoot. I'm a 45-year resident of San Bruno and proud Palestinian. I have over 70 members of my family living in San Bruno in every district. The Katoots are synonymous with San Bruno, and we are all in favor of this resolution. 3 of you know my story. You know my family's story. I hope you understand why this is so important to us. This is not a divisive issue. 75 years of a brutal occupation is divisive. The opposition can't stand the fact that for once, the world is recognizing Israel's crimes against humanity, and they are finally standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people. The root of this opposition lies in the simple fact that they do not perceive Palestinians as human beings. It's that simple, okay? This is your purview. You raised the Ukrainian flag twice. They don't know that because they're not from San Bruno.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello.
My name is Sue Rantisi. I have been living in San Bruno District 1 for the past 40 years and working in San Bruno for the past 30 years. I'm 100% supporting the effort to agendize a ceasefire resolution in San Bruno because I have better chance with my local community to hear my call. Unlike our state and federal representatives that are not listening to our calls, although the polls are showing that more than 50% of our U.S. citizens wants a ceasefire, and the percentage even higher among young generation. So please make our voice louder than the lobbyists and pass the ceasefire. This will be a start for a peaceful resolution for Israel and Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Fadi Jada. I am an El Crystal, Parkside, and Cappuccino alumni. Palestinian Americans contribute to the city of San Bruno every day. We are raised here and we raise our children here. During the San Bruno fire that happened in 2010, my family and many other Palestinian families were there on the front line to help those in need in other cities that needed help. Yeah, I'm not a good speaker. Anyway, please, San Bruno, do it justice and join the other cities like Oakland, Richmond, and now San Francisco in passing a ceasefire. If you are the city with a heart, prove it to us, and please pass this law.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Hanhan, and I'm a lifelong resident of District 2. I went to John Muir, Parkside, and Cappuccino. I'm Palestinian American as well. I'm also a mental health professional and a business owner. I've devoted the last decade of my life specializing in the treatment of trauma. I serve San Bruno as well as the Greater Peninsula. The cry for humanity has become increasingly urgent. Trauma has an everlasting impact on the brain, and we are all experiencing that trauma vicariously. Every day I bear witness to the scars, the silent cries, and the deep longing for peace that echoes in the hearts of our community. The repercussions of trauma influence our collective well-being, especially when met with a deafening silence. A resolution to stand in solidarity with humanity, to unite as a city in support of peace and life is not threatening or divisive. Dismissing this by deeming it beyond your control is a clear act of neglect that contradicts the fundamental values of serving the public. As people of conscience, we need to be doing more. Thank you.
Next speakers.
Next speakers are Andriana Shea, Jason Pollard, Shani Pollard, Jean Sharif, Sandy Hanhan Gamana.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Andriana, and I grew up in San Bruno, and I'm now raising my own kids here. I am first-generation Palestinian American, and my husband is Ukrainian and Native American. In October, my 10-year-old asked, "Mama, will San Bruno raise the Palestinian flag like we raise the Ukrainian flag?" We are not asking you to raise our flag. We are not asking you to condemn the genocide. We are not asking you to end U.S. aid to Israel. We are simply asking you to recognize our humanity, the humanity of a large portion of the San Bruno community, and to stand with over 60% of Americans and 80% of Democrats who support a ceasefire. It is within your scope as a council that has twice stood in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and twice raised the flag of another country. If you don't support agendizing this peace resolution, please give us the language to answer our children when they ask, why does San Bruno support the people of Ukraine and not the people of Palestine? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Sandy, and I'm a San Bruno resident of 35 years living in District 2, and I am here to urge you to vote yes to agendize a ceasefire resolution in Gaza. The toll of the ongoing conflict on civilian lives is devastating, and the humanitarian crisis is reaching critical levels. The time for action is now. Civilians, including women and children, are bearing the brunt of the violence, facing unimaginable hardships and displacement. San Bruno, the city with a heart, cannot stay silent in the face of a genocide. As a Palestinian San Bruno resident, I am directly impacted. It is important time for us to be seen, heard, and protected by our city. It is crucial to recognize that every individual, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, or background, is inherently human and deserving of dignity, respect, and rights. It is not just to categorize any group, including Palestinians, as less than human. When our city leaders join the call for peace, it makes the city safer for everyone. So, council members, please do not stay silent and complacent during this ongoing genocide, and effectively show that this community stands on the right side of history. This is not just a call for peace, it's a plea for humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next list of speakers.
Next speakers are Hilda Shea, Joseph Katut, Rami Asia, Camila Albari, and Justin Fang.
My name is Hilda Shea, and I've been in San Bruno for 41 years. I was born in Palestine in 1948, after my family was expelled from their home in Jerusalem. I moved to the United States in 1971 and earned my degree in chemistry. Eventually, I made my way to the city with the heart and settled here with over 70 of my family members. We live in nearly every neighborhood. The Heart itself, Huntington Park, Mills Park, Parkview, Crestmore, and Rollingwood. San Bruno is our home and our heart as well. I am obviously in support of the ceasefire, because what human wouldn't want that? They call for stop the killing, release all the hostages, and let the aid go to all the people are impacted. This is really simple.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, go ahead, please.
Hello, City Council. My name is Joseph Katut, lifelong resident of San Bruno, Palestinian American, and paramedic for San Mateo County. As of early December, the United Nations has documented that at least 190 ambulances and 26 hospitals have been deliberately and maliciously targeted and destroyed in Israeli missile strikes. The obligation to respect and protect medical transports and services is set forth in Article 21 of the Fourth Geneva Convention. 190 times they broke it. I'm asking you to please join San Francisco, Oakland, and Richmond by voting to call for a ceasefire resolution. It would be beyond unacceptable for this council to not adhere to the overwhelming request by your citizens to call for it. Calling for peace, a return of all hostages, and to flood the Gaza area with humanitarian aid is a human thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
City Council members, I greet you again today with salam, peace. My name is Camila Al-Bahri. I'm a resident of San Bruno living in District 1. The global call for a ceasefire is intended to protect all human life, Palestinian and Israeli. All life is sacred, and it is our duty as global citizens to preserve it. Last meeting, I spoke to you about the beautiful multi-generational Palestinian community in this city. We are a pillar of this community and have contributed generously to its culture and economy. I urge you all to vote yes to agendizing the resolution. Vote yes for humanity. Vote yes for peace. We are a small city, but this moment is not bigger than us. We are a city with a heart, a very big heart at that. This resolution only enhances our city's ethos. It strengthens our collective heartbeat, and we are not like other cities. Our diversity and inclusiveness shines over the peninsula. We are San Bruno, and San Bruno wants a ceasefire.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, City Council. My name is Justin Fang. I'm a resident of District 3, and I've been here my entire life. I went to elementary here, I went to middle school here, and as you can see tonight, the San Bruno community has come out in force. They've come out in support of humanity. They've come out in support of peace. This ceasefire resolution does not ask you to take sides. It does not ask you to solve any decades-long conflict. It doesn't ask you to do anything but to stand with your constituents as they call for peace, as they call for humanity, and as they call you to recognize that their family members are suffering. When people die abroad, that's not just some random person. those are the family members of San Bruno themselves. I urge you to agendize the ceasefire resolution and to support humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you, City Council members. Growing up in District 3, I've always loved what San Bruno has fostered in large part due to the Arab and Muslim community I grew up with here. Our local community of various cultures and faiths has been unified in collective shock, awe, and grief the last 3 months while watching a genocide unfold in Palestine. In the midst of this humanitarian crisis, my cousin, her husband, and 2 of her 3 children were murdered in the airstrikes, leaving my niece an orphan for the holiday season. I stand before you as a human calling for our local government to stand for the sanctity of human life. No hospital, church, nor mosque has been safe in the carnage. We've watched women, children, and civilians losing their limbs, homes, and their loved ones. With well over 20,000 people murdered, 70,000 wounded, and over 1 million displaced to face the winter cold from tents, we are overdue for our humanity in calling for an end to this catastrophe. Please agendize a call for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speakers.
Next speakers are Rima Asia, Neda Jamali, Lonnie Talbot, Rawan Beckett, and Ashraf H.
Hello, everyone. Growing up in San Bruno's District 3, the presence of the sizable Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim population here fostered a sense of belonging where I felt seen, heard, and safe. And as an educator who serves in the San Mateo Union High School District, I hope to continue to create that sense of community. For the past 3 months, we have been waking up to horrifying images and news of Israel's genocidal campaign that has brutally murdered over 20,000 Palestinians and internally displaced 80% of the rest, further subjecting them to starvation, disease, unbearable living conditions, and no medical supplies. Our sense of belonging has thus been lost as our tax dollars are supporting this humanitarian crisis. Our community will no longer feel safe if this council does not call for a ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and the safe release of all hostages. We urge you to take a stand with other cities like Richmond, Oakland, and now SF. Be on the right side of history and stand by humanity and the Palestinian community that has helped enrich this beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rowan. I was born and raised in San Bruno, went to Allen, Parkside, and Cappuccino. And like so many of us here, I spent my childhood at this park, swimming in this pool. And when I was in high school in the Interact Club, volunteering at these events, I met the beautiful diversity of the San Bruno community. And throughout all this time, I always felt safe as a Muslim and a Palestinian in this city. But with the genocide happening back home, I want to know that my city, my home, will stand with us. As we know, San Bruno has a dark history with the Japanese internment camps in Tan Fran, and I think that we don't want to repeat that same mistake, and we don't want to be on the wrong side of history again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Ashraf. I grew up in San Bruno. I went to the park down over here, the same park I take my nephews. I'm here to ask for a resolution on the agenda. San Bruno is full of proud Palestinians. It's a little crazy to me that we even have to ask for a ceasefire. I mean, if you're voting for a ceasefire, you're voting for peace. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name's Lonnie Talbot Katoot. Yes, another Katoot, but not by choice, but not by blood, but by choice. Sorry, babe. I chose it. Sorry. Let me go on. I have lived in San Bruno for the past 26 years, have raised 3 children who attended schools and participated in sports within San Bruno. I implore you to agendize this item and vote yes on the resolution. In my 17 years of service as an RN of labor and delivery, I am disturbed by the fact that women in Gaza are giving birth without basic proper care such as sanitation, anesthesia, blood products to save lives, nutrition and water to produce breast milk to nurse their newborns. Hospitals are protected under international humanitarian law. Israel is not exempt from this. I take care of patients from both sides of this conflict daily. They have more in common than many choose to acknowledge. Both love deeply, have faith, and want peace.
Thank you. Next speaker. Folks. Though we do have to give it, it brought levity to in the beginning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Neda Jamali. I was born and raised in San Bruno and have been living in San Bruno for 22 years. I attended San Bruno public schools, including Rollingwood, Parkside, and Cappuccino High School, and currently reside in District 1. I'm urging the council to vote yes to agendize the ceasefire resolution initiated by Councilmember Hamilton. The last time we met on December 12th, the death toll of innocent civilians totaled 20,000, including 7,000 children. Now, about 3 weeks have passed. 30,000 innocent civilians have been killed, including 12,000 children. This matter is urgent. Members of my own family in Gaza have been displaced and killed, and I have lost my grandmother, who had visited us many times in San Bruno. I want to be represented and seen in our community. Do not continue to dehumanize us. Voting to agendize this resolution will save precious human life and will properly represent San Bruno as a city with a heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, list of next speakers, please.
I'll be calling up 6 individuals: Daniel Katut, Thomas Joseph, Brett, Ollie Backett, Janine Jamali, and Ruba Jamali. Sorry, the last name was Ruba Jamali.
Hello, my name is Danny Katut. I'm a Palestinian American born and raised in San Bruno. I'm not so sure why saving lives is so divisive. If it were your children dying, it would not be such a complicated issue. Please agendize the ceasefire. And I notice that sign says San Bruno stands united against hate. Where's the sign relating to genocide? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Council. My name is Thomas Joseph. I'm a neighbor here in San Bruno District 3. The Council should agendize the resolution and consider it at the next meeting. Everyone has the right to speak and be heard, and we are asking you to speak for us today. When Trump instated the Muslim ban 7 years ago, I went to SFO to protest against the threat of fascism and Islamophobia. I remember I saw then Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom there. No tie, off the clock. It matters when elected officials show up. Thank you, Councilmember Hamilton, for bringing this issue to the agenda. Councilmember Medina and Mayor Medina, I hope you find it in your big hearts to vote yes. Councilmember Alvarez, I hope you join the chorus of our neighbors here tonight. This council should help add to the domino effect of pressure on Israel and Palestine. If you care about children, kidnapped hostages, if you care about all sides, vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ali, and I want to urge you to pass the ceasefire resolution. For anybody saying this doesn't affect San Bruno, it's clear that it does. And the reality is this could happen anywhere, anytime. Pearl Harbor, for example. But I want you to imagine, what if this happened here? What if Cappuccino High School, Tan Fran, Bay Hill, all turned into rubble? What would you want the rest of the world to do if that ever happened? Me and my family lived here for 20 years. We were here during the San Bruno pipeline explosion. I've seen this community come together when they need to. I feel like this is the time also where the council should represent us as well. That was just a random act and 8 deaths. This is 20,000 deaths, and it can be stopped with a ceasefire. If this happened here, we would want every single person around the world to do anything they can, even as something as small as passing a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Ruba Jamali, and I have been a San Bruno resident for 30 years, and I currently live in District 1. I am asking you to vote yes to add to the ceasefire resolution. I am a mother of 5 Palestinian children who were all born and raised in San Bruno. All my children attend Rollingwood Elementary School, Parkside Middle School, and Cappuccino High School. I choose to live in San Bruno because of the community here. I have always been felt safe, protected, and welcomed. The past few months has been difficult on my family in Gaza. We have lost my mother-in-law, and my entire family has been displaced from their homes because of the bombing. For humanity, please vote yes to add to the ceasefire resolution to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Narana Kari. I am a first-generation Palestinian American.
I am tired of having to watch my people be dehumanized and murdered. 75 years of occupation, ethnic cleansing, concentration camps, and genocide. My entire life, I've had to watch my people suffer while the world turns a blind eye. I'm sick to my stomach every minute of every day. I have the privilege to lay in bed at night and not have to worry about my safety while innocent people are being killed every minute. I urge you to join our neighboring cities in calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. I want to remind you that the Ukraine flag was raised in the city of San Bruno not once, but twice. So if you are able to show solidarity and support for Ukraine, you should be able to do the same for Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Janine Jamali, and I live and go to school in San Bruno. I am currently a student at Cappuccino High School in my first year, and I'm here to agendize the resolution of a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. The reason I want for the council to vote for a ceasefire is simple. In Gaza, there is a current humanitarian crisis where people in Gaza, including my aunts, uncle, and just until recently my sister, are facing issues like hunger, illness, displacement, unnecessary civilian casualties, and the loss of loved ones on a daily basis. We, the people of San Bruno, recognize that as a community, it is important to face these issues and try our best to combat them in any way possible. My sister, along with our family, has faced incredibly traumatizing moments from the continuous bombing and have almost died when our home was bombed. In our family alone, there has already been at least 25 casualties, including my grandmother. My sister Nasreen and about 50 others of our family were living every day with only one meal every 24 hours. This resolution for a ceasefire is beneficial to our city to show that we as a people do not support the killing of civilians and children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speakers.
These are speakers that I have already called up, but I'm going to repeat their names. I believe they did not speak and they may have been outside, so I'd like to repeat their names just to
Please
make
do.
sure.
Thank you.
Shani Pollard, Jean Sharif, Jason Pollard, Claudia Miziravi, Nick Katut, Vikin Jinguzian, Jeremy Dunk, Andrew Katut, Alice Aran, Robbie Shaw, Iyad Shar, Norana Izari, Miriam Abu Ghosh, Hiba, and Gilbel Cheng.
Thank you for reading those, and if you heard your name, please come forward. With that, please. Thank you.
My name is Keon. I've long had deep connections, family and friends living in San Bruno and visit here often. I'm Iranian. I'm a Bay Area college educator. I'm asking that the council agendize the ceasefire resolution and then do the work to pass the item. We must join the world, the UN, including cities of Oakland, San Francisco, Richmond, and others in doing what is our moral obligation in this moment. We want to connect San Bruno in the greater struggle and for the city to be on the right side of history. I have many Palestinian students fighting to have their lives recognized as valuable, as worth speaking up for. This is heartbreaking. I have a Palestinian student who has lost over 17 family members. Her and my Palestinian Arab students tell me that they're in fear, especially after the shooting of 3 Palestinian college students, stabbing of a 6-year-old Palestinian boy in Chicago, and a recent attack on an imam in the US. This is clearly a problem for us here, just as much as it is abroad. To ignore this is simply irresponsible and active Islamophobia. I do not feel safe, my students do not feel safe when our lives are shown once again to be deemed as less valuable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other speaker cards.
At this time, we have no more speaker cards, so we've gone through that. I do want to pause just for a moment to thank everyone, because I know this is not an easy topic. And obviously, folks have lost loved ones and friends, and I can offer my sympathy, but I know that doesn't maybe help or obviously correct the situation. But I do want to personally thank you for, I think, considering the topic and the amount of speakers we had, the coming together to be fair and to listen and to hear each other. And truly that is what this is about, is for people to have that ability and that right. So I personally want to thank you for being a part of this process and allowing us to go through those speakers in a very, I think, professional, compassionate, and with courtesy. So with my thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll bring it back to the council for any final comments or comments on the topic. Thank you. Councilmember Medina.
Thank you all for being here tonight. In the past weeks, I have met with residents on both sides of this issue. I want to acknowledge the respectful manner that we were able to talk during the meetings, phone calls, and email exchanges. We know San Bruno is an incredibly diverse community where everyone is welcome. We have embraced the concept of being the city with the heart, and it has been proven many times. We are a community that unites whenever it is needed. In the past years, San Bruno City Councils have expanded into politically sensitive subjects. We've passed resolutions united against hate. We have raised the LGBTQ plus flag. We have raised the Ukrainian flag 2 times. It's fair to question how many resolutions will be made for other conflicts. That is likely best for a separate discussion on another night. I want to address some of the current concerns I received against agendizing a resolution. One of them is the outside influencers are calling for a resolution. Clearly, that is not true. This started with San Bruno residents. The attendees of the meetings and the emails I have received are from an overwhelming majority of San Bruno residents. Another thing, the City Council should be focusing on city affairs. We are. The Council meets twice a month, while our city staff remains focused, working every day on the various city projects, including building the new Recreation Aquatic Center, completing over $6 million in street pavement maintenance, the most in 20+ years. Another thing I heard was even talking about a resolution will make San Bruno more divisive and make some residents feel unsafe. But I know an ongoing war with high civilian casualties and starving civilians is divisive. In San Bruno, we can continue to show compassion and empathy for each other. As for safety, San Bruno has a dedicated and skilled police department doing all that they can every day to provide safety for our community. At our council meeting on December 12th, our Palestinian community pleaded for help. I attended 2 meetings with them afterwards, and I listened. These were, once again, San Bruno residents, the overwhelming majority. The resolution's scope has been consistently narrow. 3 main things: stopping the fighting, releasing the hostages, and allowing humanitarian aid. I have listened, and I am in support of agendizing the resolution.
All right, folks. What I'm going to ask is the same. The council did listen, and I'm going to ask for that same courtesy to allow them to speak. And I know they get more than 1 minute, sorry. And that we refrain again, but again, just to have that opportunity, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Other colleagues? Councilmember Alvarez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I would like to thank the residents for coming here tonight and for expressing their thoughts and passions on these issues. I also would like to thank my constituents from both groups who reached out to me via email. I apologize for not getting back to all of you while I continue to educate myself on the current affairs from both sides of the story in order for me to take a rational decision tonight. My heart is with all the innocent civilians harmed in this conflict. While I sympathize with the families of the innocent children and people who are still in the captivity, as your local council member, I have a responsibility to maintain the peace and order of this community. I understand that this issue has affected all of us emotionally and brought grief to our families and friends. Thus, I can only hope amidst this crisis that this community be united and not be divided. It is important to understand that this crisis is temporary amongst the different issues that are happening around the world. But when we have what we have before us tonight may result a long-term disagreement between the two groups within our community. We need to accept. We need to respect everyone and keep a positive outlook on life for the sake of our children's future and the next generation to come. My role as your council member is to focus on what matters in San Bruno. This community needs to feel safe. For this, I cannot support a resolution that may likely result a dividing action. That being said, I will leave it to President Biden's administration to initiate a strategic ceasefire. Thank you.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you. I want to also thank everyone who's come out tonight to address the council on this important topic and for showing patience and respect for all speakers to allow everyone to be heard. A little over a week ago, I was invited, as were other council members, to the home of a Palestinian family who live on my street. They were holding a vigil in honor of an uncle who had perished in Gaza a few days prior. He was in his late 60s and had been undergoing regular dialysis treatments, which were disrupted by the ongoing situation. And after much dangerous travel trying to find a facility that could treat him, he grew ill from lack of treatment and died. There are dozens with us in this room right now who have similar stories, and some individuals in our communities, some who we've heard from tonight, who have lost literally dozens of family members. The current situation in Israel and Palestine certainly did not begin on October 7th. But on October 7th, Hamas carried out a horrific attack on civilians, which led directly to the current response from Israel. In virtually all conflicts, especially those in urban areas, the result is at least some civilian casualties. But with tens of thousands of civilians dead after 3 months of fighting, at what point do we as a society say, that's enough? I've been told multiple times over the past weeks by members of our community, including friends I've known since childhood whom I respect deeply, that we must stay in our lane and not talk about this. But when so many members of our community, the community that I was elected to represent, bring a historical crisis of this magnitude, one that is affecting them deeply every day as they learn of more and more loved ones perishing, I simply cannot say, I'm sorry, I won't help you. Especially when our elected representatives farther up in our government are not listening. A majority of Americans support peace. A large majority of UN member nations support peace. And as the city with a heart, I believe San Bruno should support peace. Thank you.
So for me, you know, and again, I do want to appreciate everyone's presence, their passion, and I have had that opportunity to meet, listen, read, and to go through and try to better understand. Will I fully understand? No. I'm not an expert, but I've tried. But what I do want to say, and I've prepared, because this is an important item that's on the agenda, so I've prepared just some brief remarks. On a personal side, do I condone what I see on the news and read about each day? No, I do not. Do I wish all hostilities, death, and destruction would stop? Yes, I do. When I first ran for office, the question in a forum was asked of the candidates, which I was one back then, do you feel your role is to deal with the federal issues and take stances? My answer was, if elected, my role was to take care of the 6 square miles and the residents of San Bruno. That was some time ago. And so it is important to re-examine and give thought to today's request by Councilmember Hamilton. I have listened to both sides, had meetings, phone calls, and read many emails. Despite my personal feelings on this issue, I do not agree that the city of San Bruno should weigh in on federal foreign policy. We need to remain focused on core city and neighborhood services. So I will not be supporting to forward this. So with that, that's the end of discussion. Is there, okay, folks, the meeting is still occurring. So at this time, back to the board. Well, we are at the council. Is there any action or motion on the floor? Councilmember Hamilton.
One moment. I would like to make a motion to discuss agendize the discussion of a resolution calling for immediate, permanent, bilateral humanitarian ceasefire in Israel and Palestine, for the release of remaining hostages, and in support of allowing unrestricted humanitarian aid.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you. Motion made, Hamilton, seconded by Marty Medina. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no? No. Therefore, it is a tie and a 2-2, and therefore, it will not be considered at a future agenda. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn this to the next regular City Council meeting held January 23rd at 7 o'clock. Meeting adjourned.
Doesn't help.